me and Ryan have been officially welcomed to the jungle that is Barstool Sports.
Our white whale, Sidney Crosby.
Shave his head! Shave his head! Shave his head!
Ryan Whitney, Paul Bissonette, R.A., Mike Grinelli, Spittin Chiclets.
What is up, everyone, and welcome to episode 552 of the Spittin Chiclets podcast. We are live together in Atlanta, Georgia, the dirty South, down in the ATL, hanging out together, getting ready for a sandbagger. I'm sick as shit. I'm grinding through
Doesn't
this.
sound like
I
it.
got that because I just fired myself up. I imagined I was listening to Thunderstruck, and I've been asleep in my bed for 23 hours in the Four Seasons, the worst Four Seasons in the country, but no offense to the Four Seasons here. What is going on, everyone? I'm with Biz, I'm with Keith, I'm with G, Pasha, Fishy. What a crew we have. And shout out Pink Whitney. I was in Nashville for IceCon, and we got Pink Whitney. It was
Is that
at the
what got
bar.
ya?
Oh, no, I'm just sick. I didn't even drink. Just absolutely grinding through this podcast, but I'm ready to rip. Just like everyone was ready to crush Pink Whitney at the Barstool Bar, getting ready for IceCon. IceCon was a complete disgrace. I feel bad for Elio. He lost everyone mortgage payments and diaper money and food for their kids, but it was still fun to see everyone, and it was fun to drink Pink Whitney. Even the people who didn't do it like me, I still looked at the bottle and said, what a cool pink bottle and what an amazing drink. I wish I could have some, but I'm sick as shit. But I love Pink Whitney and I love you guys. What's going on, boys?
Lee Chrysler.
What a
I've been in
leader.
bed. I've been in bed for 23 hours. Haven't eaten in 48.
I'm so proud to be your teammate.
No, I'm so proud of you. Biz today, he picked up 2 interviews. He picked up an interview with Doug Armstrong, did it solo because I was hurting so bad. Then he picked up Nick Dowd, did that solo because Keith was stuck on the tarmac in Fort Lauderdale for 6 hours. Why do they get you on a plane and then make you wait? I don't get it.
Oh, you know what I think? I think that the Foreplay boys are fucking with us. I think that they probably spiked your food.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
No?
It's just I was due to get sick. I hadn't been sick this whole winter. You know, everyone gets sick, especially with kids. When you have kids,
Oh, yeah.
they just bring home these nasty germs. And I thought it was what is that word?
Food poisoning?
No, allergies.
Oh.
Because allergies have been killing me the last 2 years. As I turned 40, I started getting allergies. And in Nashville, Wyatt, he has brutal allergies and his eyes were swollen shut and he had boogers everywhere. And I was like, oh, I don't feel good because of the allergies. But then yesterday it just hit me. I'm not going to talk about myself being sick the whole time, but I just had to talk to you guys. And Biz, shout out you for doing those 2 interviews
What do you
alone.
mean, dude?
How's
You're-
Army? Army's great. Huh? What a guy.
Army is so funny.
I know he's a funny bastard.
I told him you weren't doing the interview because you offer sheeted 2 of his orders. So I think he was a little shocked by that, and he's like, "Fuck that guy." But I got to go back to the sickness thing. Do you get the flu shot?
No.
So I used to find when I would get the flu shot, I would get sick. And then when
gives you something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it puts it in you,
So-
and you feel like shit for like a day, but you're supposed to not get it.
I would get like deathly ill when I would get the flu shot. So
No, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Okay.
I haven't gotten it since. Remember the teams? They'd make us get it.
they would make us get
It's
them.
like, dude, I know I'm gonna feel horrible tomorrow for this bag skis. I don't care. Zing, and put the friggin' needle right in your arm.
Do you think I was out of line? Maybe blaming the Foreplay guys about spiking your food. I mean, Jans was delayed on his flight. He was doing circles around Atlanta for a little
Wait,
bit.
you were in the air?
No, never.
Oh, I thought you were in
No,
the
we just
we
sat on the plane for
tarmac.
6 hours.
10,
even worse
10:20 to 4:20 sat on the tarmac.
for 6
How
hours.
crazy is that?
No, you didn't.
How crazy is
I
that?
just lived.
One
was
time
an
I was
absolute
flying
nightmare.
somewhere with a buddy and he passed out right when we got on the plane. It was like a 7 a.m. flight. And he woke up at 10:30. He's like, yes. And I'm like, buddy, we haven't even moved yet.
That
No.
happened to me today.
You passed out?
Passed out because we taxied out and we sat on the tarmac and the guy was like, "We're third in line." I was watching White Lotus. Shout out White Lotus.
Walter Goggins.
And sat there, passed out, woke up, and I'm like, "Oh, we might be here." Sure as shit. No. And then the guy next to me for the next 5 hours peed every 27 minutes.
No.
Oh, that's
So he's
me.
hitting me, getting up.
That's
getting
me.
over
Oh, that's what you just got to give him the aisle seat. You just
Yeah,
gotta
should.
I just started.
be like, buddy, how are you hosing this?
That's why I bring the body armor wide nozzles. I just hose on the plane. Like,
Yeah,
right in my
You see that
seat.
kid at the baseball game? I think it was a Brewers game, just hosing right in the middle of the concourse of the field. Yeah, the kid is literally hog out in the middle of the concourse, just peeing.
I
Baseball's back.
Into a bottle or
No,
on the
no,
ground?
no, right on the cement.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
Oh.
a
This
real
had to have been in
sicko.
Cleveland or
Real
something.
sicko. I think it was Milwaukee.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
well-
sure it was Milwaukee.
Well, that's why
That's a
all these
drinking
street-
city.
That's why all these illnesses are buzzing around. People just treating the streets like they're goddamn toilet. So maybe I was out of line blaming the foreplay guys, but we do have a very intense match tomorrow, and obviously a little bit of adversity leading into this
Yep.
one with your illness.
But no excuses. No excuses.
No
right?
excuses. Play like a champ. We did, yes or no, switch up the course because we did get a few pictures of a course that we were supposed to play. You went and tested it out. Literally disgusting.
Oh, I mean, when I tell you this was the worst golf course I'd ever played, I'm not even going to say it because the guys there were so nice, and a guy brought me around, and I was like, dude, he was like, what do you think? I'm like,
that what
what do
made
I
you sick?
think? I'm like, there's a bulldozer on 3 of the 9 fairways we've played so far, and there's no sand in any bunkers. There's just enormous pieces of tarp. I was like, you want this on camera? He's like, no, you're playing the front 9 3 times. Keith was texting Frankie, like, is this a joke?
Frankie was crying. I could see his tears over text. He's the biggest baby in the history of the world.
Oh, he's a snap show.
Read
He's
the
a
text that he
straight-
sent
he's
you
a-
that you just gave the thumbs up to. You got to read it.
He's a snap show.
Somebody else read it. I'm gonna great.
He's
Oh, yeah. You don't want me reading it. We'll miss our match.
Biz, I have the most insane Maple Leaf stat that we'll get into in a little bit. Like hockey Illuminati.
I can't wait for a
Hockey
little bit.
Illuminati would literally come in his jeans when he hears this stat. I'm telling you, but I'm not even going to tell you yet.
Okay. All right.
So
Give me
when
a
I
little blue balls.
when I got the photos from the course with a bulldozer and a tarp on it, like it was
Memesy-
Fenway on a rainy day.
Memesy put a photo in the group chat of us three on the tarps covering up home plate.
Oh, that was the Chicago White Sox. One of the worst franchises in pro sports, like a true disgrace. That they weren't able to put the tarp on the entire infield, and then it just ruined the first baseline. I guess they were trying to like put mini tarps all over the first baseline. It was just pathetic. That was the course we were at.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And
Yeah.
then, so what did you send to Frankie?
So I said to Frankie, like, hey, if we need to pay for a course, like whatever, we'll do it. Like, just we got to switch it up. We can't play this course. So, like, you know, we're YouTube golf stars now. So he wrote me today. Excited to see you tomorrow, Yans. Unfortunately, Colby Armstrong said he could set us up at Atlanta Country Club. So excited to see you tomorrow, Yans. Unfortunately, your guy couldn't come through at Atlanta Golf Club. We called and said, Yandel set it up, and they said, who? So I don't know what that was about, but we found a great course that hopefully will live up to your standards. Echelon Golf Club. We let them know to get rose petals ready for you on your arrival.
So the chirping has begun.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if they want that smoke, though.
They can say whatever they want. Like, right? We're battling things. Keith sat on a plane for 6 hours, had a guy pee next to him 45 times. I'm sick as a dog. Biz plays golf 3 times a year when we do 3 sandbaggers. They should win. No? No?
I mean-
like, these guys play golf
Yes.
every single day.
But
Trent moved to Florida to play more golf.
Legit.
Because he saw the writing on the wall. They brought in Beef.
you
He saw the writing on the wall that he was probably
Beef
gonna
saw
get.
the food at the post
turn.
at the turn
Yeah.
shack.
but at the end of the day, we're professional athletes.
Yeah,
and
we
we're gonna
played a pro sport.
and we're gonna find a way.
We're gonna find a way. We're gonna figure it out. I'm looking
Even though
right
they
now.
poison your food and even though they mess
Yep.
with the Delta Airlines for Yans, we're gonna pull through on this.
My
one.
wife's trying to get me. She's in the process of finding me an IV to come to the hotel in the morning because I've had IVs before golf with Toradol, and I'm like a RoboCop. You know, like just like swinging around my body and not shanking the ball and just lighting it up with feeling no pain, and I can grind through anything, boys.
I think we
we're
should do.
getting that.
I think we should do Team Toradol.
100%.
Let's do
Even get
Toradol.
Fishy and Pasha
Let's
and
do
G on
Toradol.
it.
Let's do. Pasha also got me this Monolaurin. It's from natural coconut, 500
Oh,
milligrams
this guy,
of immune
buddy.
support.
Him and his blue light therapy or red light therapy.
He kind of. I saw him in the steam
actually-
room earlier. He kind of looks jacked right now.
It's actually
usually when you get a girlfriend, you get fat and gross because you're so happy and you don't need to impress anyone anymore.
Well, he's got to do that to keep this one. He's kicking outside of his coverage.
Well, she's doing Dick Pills commercial with you, so I mean, he needs to remain.
Pasha,
that's what
have we
those
talked
pills
about
are.
this?
No, I didn't. I thought that was public knowledge. That one time I saw Bill
it
doing
is.
a dick commercial, and I said, "Who's this rock?" He said, "That's Pasha's girlfriend."
What I've drawn a blank on the pills, like the Felix Health.
Yeah.
So you can go there to get a bunch of prescriptions online, but they were trying to promote to my audience. So they're like, okay, well, let's promote Cialis and Viagra, dick pills.
Yeah.
So we were doing a commercial shoot.
A porn.
And she was nice enough. She had a little experience, filming a few things. So we figured, not like, shut up. So we'd already been hanging out. I was hanging out with her friend. Remember, I told the
Yes,
story
I've seen
about
the pictures. Yes.
Rocket, but she shares the same name as my father, and it created too much PTSD from the fact that my sister's also married to a Paul. So we didn't want my sister dating a Paul and then like me married to a Camille. And we're off the rails at this point. But now Pasha's dating my co-host in a dick pill commercial. And we're just one big happy family here. Shout out to Felix Health.
She feeds Pasha the dick pills, and then she's able to pound her the way she needs to be pounded, the way that you pounded her when you filmed the commercial. Just kidding, Pasha. Just kidding. Just
hopefully
kidding.
she doesn't
Does anyone
listen.
else?
She's going to be so angry.
Does anyone else feel like this this microphone weighs 53 pounds? I can't even hold this thing up right now, boys.
Felix.
I'm gonna grind through this show.
I feel like we're still in the sauna.
I feel like I'm on another planet right now. I need to eat something, but my stomach just can't. I'm not gonna complain all show.
Could you please tell us the Maple Leaf stat right now?
No, don't.
We've earned it. He's complained about his sickness for 30 minutes now.
The last year that the Boston Bruins and Detroit Red Wings didn't make the playoffs was 1967.
No fucking way. No way.
I saw this and I went to AI and I asked AI, am I getting punked? Is this a real stat? And AI said, Whit, you may be sick, but this is real. This is real.
AI knew you were sick. Popped on your screen and said, get back to work.
It said, order some soup, Whit. This is AI talking, but the last year, both the Wings and the Bruins didn't make the playoffs was 1967. The last year, the Maple Leafs raised Lord Stanley.
Wow.
So
and
I'll
right
tell you right now, and they're winning. They're leading the division.
They are. Even though they haven't, even though they didn't beat San Jose all season long, and they squandered those ones, they go in on the California swing. They end up beating LA. Huge win. Did you see that scrap?
No. Okay. The scrap. We'll get to the scrap in a second. I feel like Matthews is. It's been just building up. He's been injured all year. The goal.
He's been playing possum.
The goal. He gets it, goes between his legs on a one touch, then goes under some poor scrub's triangle. I don't even know who the defenseman was. And then just snipes. I was like, oh shit, Matthews.
Bro, you know what's even fucking crazier?
What?
You know who just texted me literally 1 minute ago?
Hockey Illuminati?
Brad Treliving, the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm not going to read out what he sent me. That is the fucking...
Hey, Biz, stop talking about my team. You're a piece of trash. Stop
Biz,
banging Pasha's girlfriend.
You got any dick pills for me, Biz?
How does he know?
Justine's going to kill you. You know that, right, Pasha? But he won't be able to film the sandbagger tomorrow. He's going to be in a fucking body bag. Our whole team's being taken down.
I can't believe.
Send back your ambassador's
I'm
jacket.
starting to think the Leafs are going to win the cup. I swear to God.
Oh,
I swear to God, once I saw that stat and Tree Living's texting you, watch, you're gonna lose to Ottawa. We're all over the place right now.
That's okay.
We're all over the place right now.
You're sick.
Quickly before we get into the current NHL, I was at IceCon. Now, for people who don't know,
I thought it was WhitCon.
It was WhitCon.
How'd
What happened?
Ryder have fun?
So
He had a blast.
Yeah.
Besides, he said, "This is such a boring game, Dad." I'm like, I know. It was so bad. Nashville is so bad. Now, they didn't have Yossi. They didn't have. I think everyone else played. They had this. What's the goalie's name, Pasha?
Saros?
No, it was the other guy, Annunen. Unbelievable. The guy. They still lost, but the guy was phenomenal. Vegas was out for a Saturday skate, like a pickup hour. They still won. Eichel, who's I think 4th or 5th in the league in scoring right now, just dominant. He had a goal, he had an assist. He was nasty. But the Ice people, man, these people, they come and they just lose and lose. Last year they lost in Scottsdale. This year they lost in Nashville.
And they're coming from all over the world.
And they're putting their entire trip on the game. Yeah, there's a guy from Czech, the normal guy from Czech. What's his name? JC. There's a guy from England. Yeah, these people are crazy. And then one guy yelled out, "This game's making my dick soft." And Ryder's like, "What's that mean, Dad?" I was like, "I'll tell you later." He's like, "When? You'll forget." I go, 5 years.
Felix.
He goes, "You'll definitely forget." I go, "Talk to Justine."
Posh is going to be on waivers. Tomorrow, pod drop. We're going to be number 1 in Canada. Posh is going to be downloading Raya
Guess
again.
who just texted Biz?
Guess who just texted Biz? Peter North.
Hey, you up?
Oh my God!
So IceCon was a complete failure. Great people.
So Portnoy was all over you originally because you announced that you were going there to see your brother
Buddy.
who has moved there.
Yeah.
And that you were bringing Ryder, and then he said he was going to scream in Ryder's face.
No, he said, "I hope someone says fuck you" in his face. And actually Kirk, my guy Kirk Minahan, he later was like, "You said you hope somebody screams in his face." He's like, "I didn't say I hope." We replayed it. We went to like the tape, and like it was like a review for a goal. And he said it. Yeah, he said, "I hope someone screams in your face." And then there was like one guy over there, like he's like, "Hey, this guy might yell in your kid's face." And I was like, "Buddy, you kidding me? Like I'm gonna have to fight you in an NHL arena?" He's like, No, I have kids, man. I just wanted, I wanted to get in Portnoy's good side." I'm like, "Oh, by saying you'll yell in a 7-year-old's face? What a loser you are." He's like, "No, I have kids too, man." I go, "It makes you even a bigger loser."
Is that why he was sucking up with the Whitcon shirt and trying to bring the
one? So he made a Whitcon shirt. Then another guy's fiance, who was one of the 3 women at IceCon, she made a Black Whitney family reunion, Nashville, Tennessee,
Oh, that's
March
amazing.
2025. He ended up giving it to my dad because my dad was at the game too.
Oh, it really was a family reunion.
It was. Well, yeah. So my brother Colin's turning 40 April 1st. So we wanted to go down. I hadn't met his daughter yet, so we got to meet his daughter. It was a great trip. We didn't bring Cal because Cal's just a real motherfucker right now. He's 11 months old. This kid, can't bring him anywhere. He's nuts. He makes Wyatt look like normal and calm. I know. So I always thought the third kid was supposed to be relaxed. Cal's insane. So we had a little family trip without him. Yeah, Keith's the third kid, and look at him. He was mooning he was mooning his brother's friend's dads when he was 10, literally shoving his asshole right in guys' faces. He was a punk. And so I guess my third kid's gonna be like Keith. Maybe he'll break the freaking all-time Iron Man streak though.
I was technically the third too. Mom had a miscarriage, so I guess I was
Shit, fuck, I didn't know that.
Bit of a right turn there. Sorry
about
there. That'd be
Shout out
downer.
Yoli. Love you.
Fuck, Biz. Sorry, I didn't know
Where
that.
do we come
I didn't
from
know
there?
that. Yeah,
I was just trying to make the point that I'm crazy.
Yeah, you are crazy.
Yeah.
You are crazy. So it was just a great trip though, because like we got to see my brother's place. He lives in East Nashville. Nashville, the coolest city too. The fact that Bridgestone and the football, I think it's Nissan Stadium, is right downtown, but they're building a new stadium. I think it's going to be ready, and they got 2 more seasons for the Titans. It's going right next door. They're building like a Patriots Place style, like enormous like retail restaurants around
right
there.
downtown.
Then they hired the guy who built the Seaport in Boston to do another huge area in Nashville over. It's crazy, the growth.
Oh, it's like Scottsdale. Scottsdale and Nashville are very
He
similar.
lives in the Grove area?
He lives in East Nashville.
Okay.
So I don't really know. I don't know anything besides East Nashville. But yeah, it was awesome to get down there. And then the game was like a bummer, but it's still, the city is so alive, so electric.
Elio on the Zamboni.
Elio was on the Zamboni. He looked like a giant 10th grade special needs kid, just riding like a huge kid who played linebacker and like didn't know how to read. And he's just sitting there so sad. There's no goals.
They scanned my cat.
The guy came and grabbed him with 6 minutes to go in the second period. I was like, "Where's he going?" And Dave's like, "He's riding the Zamboni."
Apparently,
I thought you set that
He didn't want that game, but Dave made him go there because it was a better.
So that's the problem. Dave's just torturing him the entire time. Dave's screaming out the live line throughout the game, like live over under 3.5, just making him sound even worse. Like the game had no chance of going over. Well, meanwhile, I find out Elio had like basically begged the guy to let him do Columbus. That's a DraftKings state. Columbus scores a lot of goals. They can give up a lot of goals.
The night before that
that was the game we were going to go to.
They had 12 in
it
the
was
game.
7-6, 13 goals in a shootout against who's that against? was an amazing comeback.
It was was it Ottawa?
It was Vancouver.
Oh,
They were
Vancouver,
down 3-0, and Columbus won the game to keep their playoffs hope alive. So that would have been the game we were at. But Dave's like, nobody's going to want to go to Columbus. We got to go to Nashville. So blame Portnoy for the loss, I guess.
Yeah.
But still, a fun weekend nonetheless until I got sick and just started grinding through this podcast. But there was other news in the hockey world, and we can kind of start with college hockey. Biz, you've become an enormous fan. I feel like you.
I just kind of follow you guys. Yeah, I kind of just follow you guys.
Okay, maybe not then.
Well, no, I pay attention a lot more because you guys are so invested. Obviously, G's the one who kind of got the ball rolling with talking about it more on the podcast. You having played college hockey, like obviously you know what you're talking about. You follow mostly BU and the fact that you're an associate coach, kind of.
I was for like 10 minutes last year.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
You could, I mean,
but I went and visited the team last week. By that, I mean visited the coaching staff and watched a little practice. And I'll go back a couple times before the Frozen Four. Shout out Grinelli, who is the Chiclets U master, and Merles and GameNotes. Merles and Grinelli are horrible. They didn't pick one Frozen Four team right.
Come on.
They didn't get one. They didn't get one. Army got Western Michigan. That's it. These idiots follow college hockey more than anyone. Didn't pick BU. Let me tell you something about Jay Pandolfo. He played 4 years at BU. He went to the Frozen Four every year. He's in his third year as head coach. He's been to the Frozen Four every year. He's 7 for 7, and these assholes didn't pick him to come out of that region.
That's an incredible run.
It's amazing. Amazing.
Do you think there's
mixed in a couple cups there too?
Do you think there's a possibility that he gets an NHL coaching job?
I think
pretty
he
soon?
could. I think he could if he wants, and I just hope he doesn't. That's kind of where I'm at.
I mean, Boston. Why wouldn't Boston hire him?
Because he
has
knows
a kid in high school.
Yeah, I'm just thinking he knows that like you get hired to get fired in the NHL, right? Like you could have this. He could coach at BU the next 25 years, making a hell of a living with a great team every year, and just not have to worry about the drama of NHL head coaching. NHL head coaches. I mean, I think Knobloch's one of the most longest tenured coaches, and he came into the league last year, 10 games in or whatever for the Oilers. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So college hockey though, BC just an unbelievable choke. Number 1 team in the country. They lose to Northeastern in Hockey East playoffs, and then barely get by Bentley only to lose to Denver. Denver now is a problem. Okay,
this goaltender is
he the biggest gamer?
Matt
ever?
Davis, he's incredible.
So Matt
is he gonna get a deal?
Is there a possibility that he goes down as the best college goaltender of all time? His college.
Richter.
Can you read out the tweet of his college tournament? The NCAA tournament numbers. So every time he's entered, like you call it the Frozen Four, even if it's like
just NCAA tournament, like regionals. Then Frozen Four is just the Final Four.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
so,
but his numbers are insane for all of them.
I think he's at like a 935 save percentage. I don't know. G's going to read it off here, but somebody tweeted it out afterward. And this is the kid who last year, he was the MVP of the finals.
Made that save on Leonard.
Yeah.
Made ridiculous saves in that final, and then had one of the best post-game speeches I've ever heard. It was very emotional.
Yeah, it was.
They were the first university to hit 10 championships as well. So I don't know if you guys have heard the post-game speech that he gave last year in Minnesota, but more than likely are all 4 of those teams heading to St. Louis for the semis and finals?
So Denver plays Western Michigan, both NCHC teams, which kind of people thought was going to be like a down year, but they got 2 teams in the Frozen Four. Hockey East had
they played each other in the NCHC finals as well. Denver goes up 3-0 in the game. Western Michigan comes back to beat them in overtime. So there's definitely a little bad blood there.
Okay.
It's going to be a fun game for everyone to watch.
And then BU versus Penn State. Penn State played UConn in an all-time classic. Neither team has ever been to a Frozen Four, and Penn State got it done. Awesome goal in overtime. UConn, I kind of felt bad. Mike Cavanaugh was a former coach at BC. He started making some big-time waves with UConn. They have a new rank, but Penn State got the better of them.
I watched the game Penn State against Maine, right? That was the game prior. They worked them. I was impressed with McCarr's brother, though. He's was awesome. Hammering.
He just
guys.
signed with Colorado today.
I saw that he just signed that. But going back to Penn State, that was a club hockey program not too long ago.
Less than 15 years ago. When I was in college, they were a club team. That's crazy.
And I've seen videos of their home barn, and it was pretty much a home game for them because you guys mentioned they were in Lehigh Valley.
They were in Allentown there, which is kind of a scam that
it's bullshit.
So I feel like because they were the 3rd seed.
The fourth.
They were the 4th seed in that. Like, you almost shouldn't send them to what would be a home game for them.
Yeah.
If they're going to be, they're the 13th, 14th, 15th, or 16th, right? Like, I don't know how it worked out. Maybe they were the 13th, but don't give them the chance of having 2 home games, right? And you know the Nittany Lion fans are going to be traveling, right? They're going to travel wherever. So the fact that they were able to get that home crowd in Allentown was a big thing. But it is cool to see a former club hockey program.
I think it's also massive for college hockey because of the alumni network. Penn State's alumni network is massive. They, like, everywhere you go, there's Penn State alumni, and they're making waves now. And the alumni network's going to notice. There's going to be a ton of people in St. Louis. It's good for the game.
What were Matt Davis's stats? Do you have that tweet?
I saw against BC, 70 out of 71 shots in 2 tournament games, 985 save percentage.
You see him in between whistles, like he looks so calm. Like, that must be so nice for the players, just seeing him doing his meditation, sitting there. But it's so weird to see an opposite hand goalie, especially in college, like, be this dominant. Like,
I know.
Just looking at the game, I'm like, oh my God, BC's going to beat them by 15. Next thing you know, they get nothing.
Who do you think of when you think of like when they
Jose Theodore?
Me too. Yeah, me too. Biz, silly side goaltender.
Grant Fuhr.
Oh, Fierzy was. Yeah. Holy shit. I didn't even think of him. Yeah, I think of Theodore. Jose Theodore dummied us in a sandbagger.
That Penn State, though, my buddy in Florida, he went to Penn State, loves Penn State football. Now he's all in on the hockey too. He like bought a house in Penn State just so when he goes up on the weekends to watch football games, he has a place to stay. Like, these people are
State college is insane. It's
I am very worried about the future of college hockey with just kind of Big Ten completely taking over with this NIL money. Like, I'm hearing Michigan has like $700,000 a year to give to kids. Now, I don't know how accurate these reports are, but any team with an enormous big time college football program is just going to have resources that teams like BU and Denver and these other teams don't. Now, they're in the Frozen Four. Let's see where this goes over the next couple years. But the Big Ten programs with the football money could end up just buying up all the players. I don't know what's going to happen.
But don't you think like the history of like like when I think college hockey, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm from Mass. Like, I think BC, BU, like you don't think those schools will always have like
I think
guys will want to play there?
I think they will, and I think they'll be able to give some money to guys, but you know, if you have this football money or maybe UConn has basketball money too. I don't know how that'll work with them. BC will have some football money too. Yeah. So that's kind of a little scary being
the good thing about the Big Ten schools though too is they'll get a TV deal. Like, if you want a college hockey TV deal, that's only happening with the Big Ten schools. They're the ones that have the money. Yeah. They have all the connections with the TV deals already. And that's what's preventing college hockey from growing the most, I think, right now is a TV.
All right, I got the stat here. It's over 6 NCAA tournament games. Denver goaltender Matt Davis has only allowed 5 goals. That's equal to less than a goal a game and thanks, Tips, and a 976 save percentage. He's made 203 saves on 208 shots. That's the highest save percentage of any goaltender in the past 5 years who has played in 6 or more NCAA tournament games. Wow. So he's just on an absolute heater. He's feeling it. And an easy guy to root for.
Undrafted too, right?
I believe
undrafted, correct.
I believe he's undrafted.
Think he'll get a shot?
So here's the thing. Like, I don't know exactly where Dustin Wolf was drafted, but is Davis not necessarily the biggest goaltender either? I think
he's small.
So sometimes they write off these small goaltenders where, man, you just got to find guys who are gamers. Like
Dustin Wolf was 214th pick, 7th round, 2019.
And he developed in LA and in front of the El Segundo where all the LA guys are. So the fact that he slipped through the cracks there, but it's crazy, man. You got to give these gamers an opportunity. I'm sure he'll get a contract somewhere when his college career is over.
I think the biggest news coming out of the post-regionals was probably Ryan Leonard.
Yeah.
No surprise at all, signed with Washington. So what an amazing, heartbreaking loss, right? They're number 1 seed in the whole tourney. They lose. And what's he going to do? He's going to make his debut Tuesday in Boston, his home state, against the Bruins, playing with Ovechkin. So
that's unreal.
And then also Gabe Perreault. I was a little surprised to see him turn pro.
Agreed.
There's been a discussion discussion about how you turn pro and you burn a year of your entry level deal, right? Which, by the way, Rangers fans, Pasha, I'm with you on this. So dumb. I was reading the responses. You have to go to the responses of the Rangers tweet announcing the signing of Gabe Perreault. They're like, 3 years? Never even heard of this guy. Never even played in the NHL. You're giving him 3 years? There's like 500 comments like that. I'm like, holy fuck, Rangers.
Yeah,
Get out of your own way. That is what entry level contracts are, but they'll burn a year. Now, the argument is some people say, oh yeah, get rid of a year right away. But if you're not necessarily going to light it up in the 2 years you're going to be playing, like you're not going to hit that home run on that first deal, right? Like maybe having the third year would almost help you sometime to crush it on the second deal. Do you know what I mean?
Agreed. I think that their thinking is that they're going to get plenty of opportunity in that first year. And if they play somewhat decent in that second year, the full year, which would be, I mean, you have both options. If you light it up your first year, then all of a sudden you're actually eligible to sign next summer, July 1st, to extend.
Yep.
So it kind of gives you two opportunities without having to wait that extra year. I mean, look at what do you think Connor Bedard's going to get? I know we're kind of jumping ships here at a guy who was a number 1 overall pick, but he's proved it for 2 years now. I'm pretty sure he's going to finish with 65, 70 points, and he's probably going to make $10 million a year.
I can't wait to see what his deal is.
I bet he's going to get 10.
I think it's going to be more than that. Actually, if we're talking about college, Oliver Moore and Sam Renzel from the University of Minnesota, who also lost, they turned pro with Chicago. This Renzel,
incredible. I told you guys, 6'5", absolute
I didn't know much
stud.
about this guy, dude. He skates like the wind.
He's incredible, man. And once he fills out too, that's what everyone when we went there was saying is this kid hasn't even touched.
So how the fuck did Minnesota win then if he played there? Didn't Snuggeroo play there? They had all these guys and they couldn't win?
They're chokers.
They choke artists?
They're chokers. And Snuggerud. And Snuggerud left as well, and he's playing for the Blues. Is that tomorrow night? Did you talk to Army about it?
I got the chance to talk to Army. I actually got a chance to talk to Nick Dowd. He won't be on this podcast, but it was good to catch up with an old teammate.
Yeah.
And a guy who's been a member of Washington Capitals for 7 seasons now. And he joined them the year after they'd won it. And obviously there was a lot of superstars and special players on that team, but obviously this year has been, probably his best, most successful year there. And we did touch on the fact that Ryan Leonard will be joining them at the end of the season here to get his feet wet. And Leonard, having spent that extra year at college and doing what he did, who knows, man? Like he has the opportunity to come in here and make an impact come playoff time. Like these young, fresh legs, seems like he's a little stockier.
He's built like a shit.
Yeah, he's got the NHL build already. Which they say too. If you need to get bigger, you go to college so you can lift 5 days a week. And I think when he's out there on the ice, it's like when a point guard has the basketball, you're like, oh my God, he's going to do something here. And it's every shift with him. He is I didn't watch a ton of their games this year, but probably the last 4 or 5, and he is a special player.
Now, looking at Washington's lineup right here, like they got Wilson with Strome and Protas. They got Ovi with Pierre-Luc Dubois and Bolivier. They got Mangiapane with Lars Eller and Taylor Radish. Then they got Connor McMichael with Nick Dowd and Brandon Duhaime. This is on Daily Faceoff's line charts. So, like, with the year they've had, right? Like, all of a sudden, it's kind of odd. Somebody's getting bumped out for Leonard. Looking at this, I would assume Bolivier. Now, this is without me knowing anything about the season he's had, but you're not going to stick him on the 4th line, I don't think. Maybe you do, but even then, like, who's coming off there?
I think that...
so when a team's that good, it is a little bit of a story, like, oh, who's coming out?
Well, so they traded he was in Pittsburgh, and they traded for him, right, Bolivier? That's where he started this season. I think he's a pretty streaky player, the type of guy who can get hot. He did have one decent playoff run there with the Islanders, I felt like. And I feel like he'd be the easy guy, at least off the hop, just to get Leonard's feet wet. And if Leonard hops in and he looks like an NHL player, like, I wouldn't be shocked if you saw him for the rest of the year. Now, if he's having a hard time getting adjusted, at least he gets to be around the environment, be around the team, get used to what it's like to be a full-time NHLer. But it's actually the perfect team to get kicked off with if we're going to transition to the NHL. Not only did I get a chance to talk to Nick Dowd, but the Jacob Chychrun deal.
What a monster contract. I also didn't realize he's only 26.
He's still young, man.
Has he been in the NHL since 19?
He's been since he was very young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit. What is the news I'm hearing about? He wants light bulbs out of his house?
No.
This like
I think
fake
Strome
news.
was messing around.
Yeah, I think they were blowing it a little bit out of proportion. I think at some
The health nut.
at a certain time we should get Posh on to talk about this, unless we want to keep half.
Well,
of our
he's
listeners.
on
texting
the
with
phone.
Justine right now trying to get out of the doghouse.
Hey, babe, don't listen tomorrow.
Hey,
He's
babe.
like, can I get in the doghouse? But if I'm in there, can you put candles instead of light bulbs?
Babe, I just took a dick pill. Love you.
But at a certain time of night, you don't want to be like taking in any blue light, as they call it. It fucks up with your sleeping,
Circadian rhythm.
your circadian rhythm.
So when I'm laying in bed on my phone for an hour, it's not good.
literally been doing it the last 15 years.
Shit.
Yeah,
How's your life going?
How about my laptop on my beanbag right now, like it has been for the
I'm
last
low
20
T.
years?
That's why I got the fucking phone on my
I
cock.
think I'm low T too. That's why I'm sick.
But like literally perfect timing. You know, he's dealt with so many injuries
I know.
throughout the years. And like, you know, I don't even know if he's had a full season played yet, like based on the fact that how much he's been injured. But
Last year he played 82.
oh, he did? Okay. So it was, hey, and it didn't work out there. You know, everyone's like, oh, what's going to go on in Washington? Well, he just hit a 20 goal mark the other
20
night.
goals.
And that was after he signed his deal too. So he got 19 and 20. And I would say that, you know, once Carlson's gone, that's kind of his decor, right? He's the offensive guy. He's got the big shot. He can run power play. And given with the growth of his game, he could probably handle all situations, right? So
he actually turned 27 today. His birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy B-Day.
Jacob Chikrin.
he just got married
Don't
over the
text him.
He just got married. He just got married over the break too, during Four Nations. So a lot of positive things happening for him. There was another rumor that he got rid of
Got
his
married
Tesla.
or engaged?
No, he got married
Oh.
over the break. Yeah, over the Four Nations.
8
break.
times
So-
9 he got.
No, well, actually 8 times 4.5 because he got married, right?
Oh,
So
yeah. You're done. You're done. You're
but,
done. Actually, 8 times 2.
after expenses and yeah, but where were we?
You were saying something about
Tesla.
Tesla.
Oh yeah, apparently he doesn't want to be sitting on a battery all day too. So he's done.
Or doesn't want somebody to like blow your car up because you're driving
That
one of
too.
those.
That
That's
too.
not ideal.
But he's taken a lot of steps from the nutrition, the training perspective, and he's went all in and dived all in on that. And it's obviously paying dividends. Like as much as the chirps he get, eating the raw meat and Liver King this and light bulb that, like whatever he's doing is working it. I will join whatever cult he's in if I can get a ticket like that and look like a Greek god.
Yeah,
he looks
very
like,
good looking man.
Oh, he looks like that Hemmingsworth.
Yeah, he does. Like that picture.
He's a
That
missile.
picture's crazy.
Oh, but he looks
Chisel
like
jaw.
Although
he
if
looks
you
like a
click-
Greek
If you
god.
click on this one, it's like, whoa, what the hell? It
Well,
looks
he
like
was
had
young. He was coming
No,
into
that's
his
in
own
Ottawa.
last
That's he had the short hair and he looked like an absolute.
Well, he had the wrong diet going then. That's why he was doing.
He had a
was
light
only
bulb
eating
in his
eggs.
face.
That's why he looks so pale.
What a deal though for him. I mean,
Good
I
for
think he's tore one ACL twice and
Yeah.
the other one once. Like,
Yeah.
So there's times where this guy's wondering, like, am I ever going to get a big payday? Right? And I think he had signed. It was like
He signed a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
I want to say it was
5 times
6.
5, maybe?
I think it was 6 years at like 4.5. And it was one of those ones that at least provides you enough security knowing you're never
Yes.
going to go broke. But
Yes.
I think that he had bigger aspirations being
Yeah.
drafted in the first round. He was a stud in junior. You're playing in the NHL at such a young age. And yeah, I think that like he was the type of guy who believed in himself to reach the echelon in which he's done this year. I mean, fucking 20 goals as a D-man. He might finish with 25. Like that's insane. We talked about Makar maybe hitting the 30 mark and how, you know, he's a shoo-in for the Norris. Well, I mean, Chikrin ain't that far behind. I think that based on this year's stats, he's easily a top 15, maybe even top 10 defenseman. So good for him. Very well deserved. And it's just like a great message out there to any kid, whether you get drafted high, whether you don't, and you just battle injuries, like don't give up, pour everything you have into it. And the game will find a way to eventually take care of you. If you put
as
that much
Bugsy
into it.
Malone said, "Love the game, it'll love you back."
Yeah. But say it in his voice.
Hey, love the game, we'll love you back. It's what I say.
Jägerbomb.
Jägerbomb. So staying in the East, Montreal with an enormous win against Florida, 4-2. Actually, sticking with Florida for a sec, Marchand plays his first game Friday night, gets the game-winning assist in overtime. Who's he give it to?
Bennett the Menace.
Bennett the Menace. I'm like, Jesus Christ, these two together. Kachuk's out there skating today, so I assume that he's on the right path getting back for playoffs. But Montreal, they're not going away. They are not going away. Lane Hudson gets 3 assists. One of them was a beaut to Suzuki right through the crease. They win 4-2 in Florida, and it was an ugly game. I never seen this Mikkola. What the hell was he doing? He took a slap shot at the other team. Did you see that? He got fined $5,000.
Yeah.
For some reason, he took a slap shot. I saw the ref basically like saved him. The ref at that point should let him go. And like, you have to fight. If you're going to take a slap shot at the other team, like, you should be allowed to be attacked.
I think that he had a calm temperament before he went over to Florida, but once you join that whack pack, you just become a crazy person.
They tell you, like, you have to do something really, really dirty tonight, or you're not hanging out with us.
We're blood brothers.
All right, I'll take a slap shot at the Canadians. But the Canadians right now, they sit in the second wild card spot. They have a game in hand on the Rangers, who are tied with them in points, but Columbus has a game in hand on Montreal, and they're 2 points back. Detroit, on the other hand, man, I don't know what's going on in Detroit. It seems like they couldn't even build on last year, and they are not out of it by any means. They have 9 games remaining. Right now, they're 3 points out. It's more about just Columbus and New York are in front of them till you get to that second spot in Montreal. But it seems like Larkin and Raymond have gone a little cold. I also am doing some research and finding out the Red Wings have a chance of basically having the worst penalty kill in league history. Like, their penalty kill is just horrific. So you can't all of a sudden have a great power play as they do this year and then lose your PK. I guess Todd McClellan was talking about how before he got there, they were trying something, then they've tried something else. Now they're trying something else. So they're almost kind of like stuck in between 3 different ways.
Have they tried to stop taking penalties?
That's kind of where I was going next. Maybe just stay out of the box. But Detroit fans, they're looking at it like last year. You remember the push they had? Yeah, they were right there, one point. They almost did it. And now this year, it's like we're taking a step back. And I don't know if at some point you think Steve Yzerman's job is, a little bit on the hot seat or something, but the Red Wings, I thought this year, now all of a sudden Montreal, who nobody considered even close to really where Detroit or Ottawa was, is looking better than Detroit is.
I think that if next year they don't have a season like Ottawa had this year, that you could start the conversation. I think that, it's Stevie Y. I think he's going to get a little bit more of a longer leash than majority of guys in that seat, especially what he's done for that organization, and he deserves it. And I think he's a brilliant hockey mind. Ultimately, if your draft picks aren't hitting, which I think that they have a wave of really young ones.
They got some good prospects
that are about to kind of come to fruition and really start making an impact. You mentioned like Larkin and DeBrincat have calmed down a little bit. Like, I just think that they're just so top heavy and they're so reliant on those guys that to just count on them for a full 82 every season, like no team does that. Like the teams with depth where they can snap it around, where certain guys could take the limelight off those guys for a 5-10 game segment. That's the type of roster that you have to build. So I guess I'm not shocked based on how the deadline went, and it just didn't seem like they were pushing the chips in and that they were in any type of win mode now. But they're still in the Viagra triangle going into next year if they don't make playoffs. But if it's an ugly start and they start fading off, nah. Wow. They're walking the fucking plank. And I bet you if you polled majority of Detroit fans and you said by the end of next year, if it's another abysmal season, no playoffs, that you could start the clock at that point, where if that following year there's no playoffs, so another 2 years of misses, you got to, at a certain point, what do you do? Sometimes if you don't have an answer to put somebody better in the seat, you kind of just keep riding the horse. I would imagine that if somebody's going to start barking at that point. Am I crazy?
No, not at all. I mean, yes, you are, but not with that team.
I am the third.
But it's also, too, who was the last big name free agent to sign there? They're kind of in that, it's not the greatest city, no offense, but guys aren't dying to go there. You know what I mean? When they were winning, they were getting, the Brett Hulls, the Brendan Shanahans, the big boys wanted to go there because they were winning. But now you have to draft well. You have to develop your guys. They've been known for really good development, sending their guys to Grand Rapids, giving them a couple years in the minors to figure it out. But I think they got to pull the trigger a little bit sooner now with these young guys and get some young blood in there and develop them in the NHL as opposed to the AHL, because you're not getting the signings that you were back in the day.
I thought that Tarasenko would be a lot better there. He wins the cup last year and signs in Detroit, and he's got 10 goals, 71 games. Like, that's just kind of like, you needed him to pop off for 25 to 30. And then you're looking at like, all right, we have another goal scorer in the lineup. And maybe he's just he's got 822 NHL games, 121 in the playoffs. He's 33, but never been the fastest skater. Maybe now that's kind of catching up with him, but I thought he would be a lot better this year than he has been for Detroit. Raymond's been awesome, but like I said, he's kind of slowed down a little bit. It seems like since Four Nations, like, you see these teams that had like guys with a bunch of break, and like look at Washington, right? Nobody was there. And now Edmonton's dealing with a McDavid injury, and some of these teams that had guys there, it's almost hurt them a little bit. But Florida, yeah, exactly. So, although Ottawa hasn't slowed down, the one other East team that like we never talk about, and if they do go to the Cup Finals, you'll need security biz, is Carolina's just humming along. Maybe this year somehow Carolina is able to do it. They have a great first round matchup against a team that Pasha roots for that stinks.
Halsey's, it's like rejuvenated his career playing.
I know. He looks awesome there. And I think that it's about being comfortable, right? Maybe the way that he plays, Rod Brindamore loves it, but I think that like Carolina's sneaky, just like moving along. And Jarvis has been awesome, man. That guy, he's probably gotten a lot of confidence actually from Four Nations. Even though he didn't play an enormous role, he gets to see how these guys act, these superstars, and he's been playing great. So, yeah, Hall's got 14 points in 23 games there, 8 goals, and Carolina's 8-2 in their last 10. So, I don't know anyone else in the East. Actually, staying in the East, we got to talk about Torts. He got himself fired. They lost an absolute blowout game to the Maple Leafs, and he came out and said, I got no desire to be coaching this team, basically. I don't know.
And then there was an incident with York. York,
yes,
right? Yeah. Where the following game after Torts was like, what was the title that they said that he was relieved of his duties?
Yeah,
not exactly fired,
but Elliott said at first that he stepped down because he hadn't heard yet from the Flyers, and then
the Flyers were like, no, we
came out.
You can't fire me if I quit, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hey, can you come in my office? I quit. But I think essentially he was fired.
So then the following game after he was relieved of his duties, Cam York sat on the bench the whole game. Like, that's what I did. Didn't play 1 second. Didn't get to step over the board.
Doesn't even count as a game played for people who don't know.
That sucks. At least give him a 10-minute misconduct so he gets the game played. Like, that reeks of maybe like they kind of got in like a shoving match and maybe things.
So it wasn't physical.
It wasn't.
I talked to somebody in Philly.
Chest to chest.
No, it was just
I think he had
he had a bad play in the first period. Toronto scored, and Torts came in and just was unloading on him. And then he kind of went back at him, like almost one of those, like, "Hey, I'm gonna be here longer than you are."
Yeah, I heard he got personal with Yorkie, and Yorkie was taking it for a while, and then he got personal with him, and then Yorkie unloaded on him, which I love that out of if you.
Like he had enough.
Yeah. You get personal with the guy, and
it's
then
like, call me a loser
level.
16 or 17 more times.
I'm out of here.
Shout out basketball.
Small cock, bad breath. Guys don't like you.
Yeah, hit him with everything.
But so he didn't play the rest of that game. Then Torts got fired, and then the team just like punished him. Like, we can't have that. You know, you screaming back at a coach who's screaming at you.
Michkov's probably got the popcorn out, like, yeah,
what
tell
about
the off. Niet.
But they didn't have, they had to dress him because they like didn't have enough healthy guys to not, you're not
ran
allowed
out
to
of
dress.
call-ups.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jesus, Philly, man. But they had to dress him because not having enough guys. You're not allowed to dress not the number that you need. So he just sat on the bench all game.
Gritty play.
Yeah, that's. But I mean, I played with Yorkie for the year in Philly. Nice kid, passionate kid, cares. but like I would have never expect him to yell back at a coach like that, and I absolutely love it out of it.
No shit, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you just had enough. It's probably been 3 years.
So you know the
taking
full story then?
No, I don't.
Bullshit, Jans.
But yeah, no, I'm proud of him.
Should we waterboard Jans to get it out of him?
I think
Only
Torts
the
was
body
like
armor.
telling him like resign here, I'll bury you. Like it was getting like a little over the line, I'd say.
You know what was said?
I don't know anything. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing.
If you hit someone with a "I'm gonna be here longer than you," and then they get fired the next day, is so fucking funny.
Hey, I remember when Terrian was just like all over me. I remember my agent would be like, "Dude, you're gonna be there longer than him. You're gonna be there longer than him." I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's a good thing to think. It's a good thing to think." And then he got fired, and then I got traded like 4 days later. And my agent was like, "Hey, I told you, you made it longer than he did."
Technically,
I did make it a day longer.
Hey, at
than
least
him.
you could trust me, Whit.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a man of my word. My word's as strong as oak.
But it said, Briere said, I felt it was time. You're going to ask me, is there one thing that happened? It's not one thing. It's a series of things that have happened, and probably a little bit more in the last 3 weeks that have escalated since the trade deadline. I'm guessing he wasn't thrilled, right? Like Lawton gets traded. They'd already traded Frost and Farabee, and you're just kind of at a place. Torts is like 65, 66 years old. The team, I don't think Philly is even remotely close to being a good team. Like, when are they going to be good?
You know what would be ironic if Anaheim hired him and Gauthier got him.
No, they just traded Cronin for Torts.
Oh, Gauthier.
I didn't even.
Do you think Torts coaches again?
I think he does.
What?
I don't think the league can quit this guy.
I kind of agree with you.
Who would hire him?
It's like a toxic relationship where the guy just like can't not take the girl back. Like, Justine, come
big
back.
Deal
I love
selects
you.
conditioning stint.
You almost like
Torts' revenge.
I'm trying to think of what team could.
It would be a veteran team.
Yeah, it'd have to be like Carolina if they would to ever fire Brindamore and bring him in for half a year or something. To try
Imagine
to win
they
a
were
cup.
together, both like.
He was making $4 million though.
He's got 1 year left of $4 million.
Well, not anymore.
No, I think because the way they handled it, he's still going to get his money.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, this wasn't his last year.
No, he had a year next year.
He signed a 4 times 4, which is that's a healthy tag. Okay, so where would you most love to see Torts?
Winnipeg.
Back to the Rangers.
Ooh.
Imagine
Okay.
him back in. And
Okay,
speaking of him and Brooksy, I met Brooksy's son. He was at the Barstool bar.
No shit.
That's the picture I sent you. Can you name this guy's dad who we interviewed? I sent the picture. That was him. He was wrecked. Great guy. Great guy. Came up to me at one point. He's like, want to call him? Showing me his phone. It was Lou Lamoriello. I'm like, no, Brooksy Jr., we're not going to call Lou Lamoriello right now in the Barstool bar. But I met Brooksy's
I would have
son.
called him.
Was he at IceCon?
He was telling me all about him and his dad's battle with Torts and stuff. Great guy, little Brooksy. He's like
He at
45
IceCon or
though.
no?
What?
Was he at IceCon?
No,
or
he was there
just
like the day before.
happened to be there?
He was on like a bachelor party there. And then at the same time, Laviolette's son was there. And I don't even think they knew each other.
I wouldn't, obviously I don't want to see it because it means things wouldn't be going well in Toronto.
Oh
and
my
I love
God.
Chief, but imagine Torts in Toronto. That would be a
the
fucking
media circus.
three-ring.
It would be unreal.
Yeah, him and Steve Simmons just fucking fist fighting.
Wow. I mean, where has Torts been? He's been in Tampa. He's been in
Columbus.
New York. He's been in
Vancouver.
Columbus. He's been in Vancouver. He's been in Philly. Are we missing anywhere else?
Yeah.
Is he coach Calgary?
I think he was a assistant before too, right?
That doesn't count.
Oh, okay.
Where else could he be? Yeah, Boston as they're rebuilding.
Oh my!
Torts would scratch Pasta in an instant. Pasta's been unreal this year too,
He's
by the
so
way. The
good.
Bruins, are so bad.
Oh, they're
Maybe they're going to
terrible.
get a top 5 pick though.
They might. Could be top 4.
Top 4. I don't know why I saw McAvoy skating again. I would. Why just keep him out? Keep tanking.
Sit him till September.
The good news though is I'm sure that we'll see Torts back on television.
Yes,
He'll be-
I would think so.
he would be-
maybe with you. Were you with him before?
Yeah, I think he was doing ESPN, so I would imagine they would bring him back, or us. We started bringing in Bonus too, but I mean, maybe they want to snap it around and bring him in for a test ride. I would love to do a show with him.
I've heard he's great.
Oh,
he's a great guy.
Same.
Family guy.
I had him in the Olympics, so it was 2 weeks, and he hated me as a player.
Well, that's easy.
But he was the man as a guy.
Yeah.
I think guys do love him as a guy. I think just as a coach, he just wears you down.
Yeah.
And then just grinds your gears over and over. You know what I did think about Torts, though, going back to NCAA? That kid tried the Michigan on UConn. And did you see that?
No.
Kid on UConn in overtime tried doing the Michigan, and the defensive from Penn State ran him
I did
over.
see that hit.
And I was like, Torts might just crank one off to that. Like, Torts hates the Michigan. If you see a defenseman just light up somebody doing the Michigan, Torts is probably just watching that. Torts might coach Penn State now just to coach that kid.
In the spank bank. That kind of just reminded me our first ever pilot episode of the show Peaking with me and Wonton Don is going to be airing later this week.
Nice.
So if you guys want to check that out, that'll be on.
Tell people what the show is about, what you did for the first episode.
Yeah. So
tell them about your order.
Tell about you ordering breakfast.
Yeah. That was kind of the order heard around the world where it was very high maintenance. I ordered breakfast where I changed literally every single thing on the.
Yeah.
I get eggs over easy, but over medium.
Fresh squeezed orange juice from McDonald's.
Yeah. So that ended up going viral. But the premise is we're going to pick a new location. We're going to travel mostly to national parks, and we're going to go explore a city or a town or the area. And then we're going to proceed by doing a hike of some sort. And we did Mount LeConte. So it was in the Smokies, and it was awesome. It was like about an 11-mile hike. Like close to 5.5 on the way up and 5.5 on the way down, obviously. And it was a great day. And obviously we enjoy some Scooby snacks on the way up too. Of course. It was just a great time exploring with the Wonton Don and Corey, who's our film guy. And he edited the thing. So it'll be coming out. And this is the pilot episode. And I look forward to doing more. I would probably try to bring him to Arizona next. Then camp out on my lot in Jackson and go do something in the backwoods there, which would be awesome.
Grind with them.
And then eventually in the summertime, head out to Vancouver and do something in the Pacific Northwest area. Grouse grind could be an easy, like a quick one, but I think you want more of a substantial hike, especially if you're in that part of the world. Like Grouse grind, you're done in 50, 51 minutes or whatever.
Bedard.
Or if you're Bedard, you're done in 38. At this point, we're obviously not getting Bedard because he hates my guts because I told him to play defense better, in which then they moved him to the wing because I'm the best coach in the world.
Didn't you guys go to Dollywood on that trip?
We went to Dollywood to go sniff Dolly Parton's bras. Yeah, that was a fun exhibit.
It's like a Six Flags, but Dolly Parton themed.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an amusement park?
I thought it was like Graceland for Dolly Parton, but it was it's an amusement park.
You just ride like mechanical tits.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Speaking of, I did a monster. I toured Nashville in a monster truck. Forgot to mention that.
What?
Yeah, there's something for Wyatt.
Not the teacups. It's the oh no, I won't even say it. Today, Junior.
Phil Rarudo. So I toured Nashville in a monster truck, and on the tour, I learned that it's called the volunteer state in Tennessee because Texas was fighting some war with like Mexico, and they asked for 2,800 men. Like the state of Texas asked for like 2,800 men from Tennessee, and 30,000 men went to help. Wow. So like they're just great people in Tennessee. And I'm assuming they won the war, considered it's Texas and not Mexico. And now, because of this, still to this day, the tour guide told me that if any kid in Tennessee gets into college in Texas, college is paid for.
Wow.
Gee, look it up.
That's
real.
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know if it's fake.
So it's the Volunteers is the name of the university, isn't it?
Yes, University of Tennessee Volunteers.
Is that Knoxville?
That's in Knoxville, yeah.
Okay, so that's actually where I landed to go meet Donnie.
Oh, really?
And then we went to a place called Pigeon Forge.
Must be horrible.
The worst place on earth.
Yeah.
There was 14 laser tags, 29 mini putts. There was like
mini putts.
Buddy, there was a million mini putts.
Sure, they had
any any like junk store you could imagine.
Dollar stores up your asshole.
Vape shop.
Cash and check.
You want inflatable dolls? Yeah, come here. You want shitty, cheap T-shirts that you don't need? Come here.
Pigeon Forge.
You want a million mugs? Come on over.
Nice.
It was called Pigeon Forge, and then the main place where we stayed before we went on the hike was called Gatlinburg, and the whole city looks like it's owned by Ripley's, believe it or not. And there's all these pancake houses. The food is terrible. He brought me to this place called the Moody Mushroom, and he said he vouched for it. He's like, oh, this is unbelievable pizza. I wouldn't feed it to your dog.
Are you sure it wasn't the mellow mushroom?
It was the Mellow Mushroom.
Yeah, I've had that place.
You've
yeah.
had it?
Yeah, it's
horrible?
a chain. It's like a domino.
That's when he started balding from the kryptonite they put in the pizza. Fucking Christ. So, I mean, the people were very kind and friendly. The pancake houses were the pancake houses, but if you do have an opportunity to go hike Mount LeConte, it's called LeConte.
Jesus Christ.
And they have these like shacks at the top of it where if you get out a year in advance and you can file for like a permit, you can stay up top. So you could hike it, stay up there for the night, cook your own food, smoke some J's, do some shrooms, and then come back down the next day. So it makes for a pretty cool experience. We were fortunate where we went on a Friday, and on the Fridays they send the llamas up, where they have they put all the supplies on
and
the llamas.
And we cook up those llamas and eat them up with some barbecue sauce.
We slit their throat if we're in a goal scoring slump, and we eat the llamas. No, but they carry
them to the KHL.
They carry all the supplies up because like when you get up there, it's like as old school, and it's like you've stepped back in time. Like you're in like the Jesus Christ era.
Yeah.
Wait,
nobody wants to go.
How much would we have to pay you to go do that hike?
I don't mind a little hike. He goes on like 7-mile hikes. Like I'll do a mile up a hill. I like Blue Hills. It's like 700 feet, 755 feet.
Yep.
You can bomb up there and get a little sweat going. Yeah, it's not bad.
Would you rather have gone through the sickness you've gone through today, or have to have done that trip with me?
I'd rather go through this sickness for a week straight than do that trip. Like thinking
so check out our new show called
Motel
Peaking.
6. You were eating shit food. You were just ugh.
But I wouldn't
Like
change it for
hanging
the
out
world.
with the foreplay boys.
Oh no. Check it out. Peaking with Wonton, Don, and Biz coming out this week.
Kids in Tennessee definitely have to pay tuition.
Yeah, you made that up.
Really?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I didn't make it up. The guy driving the
maybe
monster
they get
truck did.
maybe they get the in-state, like as if you pay.
Just
Attending a public school or university in Texas as an out-of-state student from Tennessee typically means paying higher tuition rates.
Oh yeah, not even.
well, that's what happens when you're driving a monster truck giving a tour.
Yeah, it's
you
on.
tell
It's
lies.
Sponsored by
And then
Monster Energy and meth. Like you don't think
it's got the brass balls on the back too.
I mean, this guy said this. He's so confident, so trustworthy. He's like, I'm going to say that on the pod. Sure as shit, he was lying. Well, going out west, the LA Kings are not frauds like Merle says. They're a wagon right now. Now, the Leafs did get them, and I think they lost another game. I think they lost their last 2 games, the Kings. But they look good, man. And Quentin Byfield's probably one of the biggest reasons. This has been your team for 3 years now, Biz. Like one of your 7.
They fucking saved my life.
Well, yeah, the AHL team did. But yeah.
The organization did.
You
Okay.
weren't on a 2-way.
Okay, so you're going to stick with,
They
as you
invited me
have
to
the
training
3
camp.
prior years, that they're going to beat Edmonton?
I think that like you were laughing them off stage. Merles were calling them frauds. And
I never called them frauds. Merle's did.
I know.
And Merle's can't pick one.
You were like,
frozen
there's
four
no
team.
way that Edmonton loses to them. I think that Edmonton needs to get healthy and things need to start going in the right direction for them. They need to figure out their fucking goaltending and not get any more offer sheets and their players stolen from them. And yeah, I think that they do have. I think that if you ask me right now, if both teams healthy, I would give Edmonton a 51% chance to win that series. I think it's going 7. I wouldn't be like that shocked if they lost. Like I feel like Edmonton got smaller, slower, and older in the offseason. Like say what you want about how Skinner's played lately. He's played a little bit better. Nugent Hopkins has turned the corner. But like, look at the fucking list of guys they lost. They lost Fogle. They lost
Who's
McLeod,
nasty on the Kings.
I think he's like second on their team in 5-on-5 goals.
He's got 22 this year. He's been great.
Yeah, I don't think he barely plays any fucking power play. The list goes on of guys that they lost, and then they replace them with the Arvidssons, the Skinners. They're smaller players. I really liked Arvidsson's playoff 2 years ago with the LA Kings. I just am not as threatened as I would have been last year about the Edmonton Oilers, and the question mark on McDavid's health and like, he's not back quite yet. That just fucking scares me a little bit. And they seem to be very top heavy. So it's not only like, oh, hey, welcome back to the lineup. Hey, we're going to be playing you 24 minutes a night because we're not as deep as we were last year. So I could be totally wrong. And they could just all of a sudden, Frederick's back, Evander Kane's in the lineup, and they're fucking buzzing like the 84 Oilers again, by all means. But I think this one's going to go the distance.
The only thing that helps the Oilers in my mind is like the Kings' leading scorer. They have two guys with 60 points, okay? Right? Like that, it's Kempe and Kopitar. Their next guy, Fiala, has 50 points. So when you're talking about like true top-end talent, like they can't sniff the Oilers. But obviously the Oilers were way better last year. Like I can admit it. And they fucked up with a couple moves in the offseason. The Armstrong buried us with friggin' Holloway and Broberg. Holloway looks like fucking Patrick Kane in his prime right now. And Broberg's phenomenal. But it's still about like McDavid and Leon and LA having nobody close to them too. I do believe it would go 7. Now, interestingly enough, it went 7 games 3 years ago, then 6. Then last year, it was just domination in 5. This year, if LA holds on to home ice, they're great at home. But they suck on the road. So it's also like if Edmonton can get one game in LA, then all of a sudden we just hold court at home and we win the series. But it's a weird feeling now seeing the Kings be... And the Kings are deeper, no doubt. I love Gavrikov on D, like Brant Clark. It's a team that's very good, and Kemper's actually been awesome this year, Biz. Like I don't know if you've seen his numbers, but he could be like almost like Vezina type if it wasn't for Hellebuck just being out of this planet. So LA's got a very good team, but Byfield, that's what Kopitar said. He's been our best player for a while. Like he has kind of reached another level, but they don't have Leon and Connor. That's my only hope. Now, how long does that last for the Oilers? Who knows this year? It's been just bizarre. And if you can get Frederick, Kane, and Connor back, that's a different team we're talking about. If Kane comes back and he's like really good, like then we could win the cup.
That's the thing is like right now it looks like doomsday, but in 2 weeks it's all of a sudden, oh wow, they've worked the fucking Kings in 5 and they're fucking on to greener pastures. So
now Leon came back.
Ooh, 50 and 51, baby.
Back, and he put on a clinic against Calgary. He had an assist on the first goal by Arvidsson. He then scored the tying goal with like 5 minutes left for his 50th goal, his 4th season being a 50-goal scorer, and then got the OT winner, number 51, to win 3-2. I tweeted out yesterday that Leon Draisaitl is the MVP of the league, and if you don't think that, you get a big dump in your pants. Some people were very upset, saying like Hellebuck and McKinnon, and I get it, and I think that those are the 3 finalists. But to me, Leon, like leading the league in goals by this many, he's played most of the year with Podkolzin and Arvidsson. Like, come on. And I understand he's got McDavid on power plays and stuff, but McKinnon has Makar. Like, it's not like that crazy to think that you have another like big time guy. But without Leon this year, who's been the Oilers' best player by a lot, like who knows where they are? They could be sitting out of the playoffs right now. And Leon's just been so good. So he's got 50 goals, 50 assists again.
Well, 51 goals now.
51 goals, 50 and 50 guy though. It's just, to me, he's the MVP. He's carried the team completely.
I would have no problem with him.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Like
Keith?
Yeah, I think any questions that were ever in the past of could he do it without Con or whatever, he's obviously put those to bed the last few years. He could drive the bus on any team. He doesn't need somebody else. He is an absolute stud. So the thing that like scoring 51 goals, and I still think of him as a passer, a playmaker.
I know.
He's such a good playmaker, but he just knows how to finish. Like, he's not ripping the puck 1,000 miles an hour like Ovechkin, but he just knows how to shoot it. He beats goalies in weird
Quickest
spots.
release.
Yeah, and
He
it's
just
that
slaps
weird
it.
paddle. Good. I'm sure it's hard for the goalies to read coming off it, but yeah, he's 100% in the MVP race and probably should win it. Just seeing how
You know where he got his paddle from? Remember that old goalie stick that was in the away room at Rexall?
That's it. Oh my god.
Did you ever play away game at Rexall? They used to have that huge ass goalie stick.
I don't even remember it though. It was just sitting in the locker room.
It was just in the away room. Yeah, I remember we used to give it to Red when we were going on our way out. Remember Red?
Oh, the best in
Yeah.
Calgary.
Oh,
Best Red story. So the Red was he worked the visitors room in Calgary, and we used to bring him to Edmonton. He'd fly on our plane with us. And remember Red? He sat outside the room. He was going, "Let's go, boys, let's go."
Walt, it started with Walt, right? Keith
think so.
Tkachuk was very good to people who were like underprivileged. Like there's stories of Walt when the team buffet was done and all the guys had gone to their room to take their pregame nap. Like if there was like a homeless person or two outside, he would invite them in the meal room to like finish the food because there was always this unbelievable food that was left over. In some cases, I even heard that he invited a few people up to be able to use his room to shower. Is that true?
I've never heard that.
Okay,
Maybe.
yeah.
I wouldn't doubt me. He's
But he's just like such a salt of the earth, unreal human being. So I think when he was playing in Winnipeg, they got to meet this Red guy. And when they moved on from Phoenix, he would then meet them when Phoenix came into town for Calgary, Edmonton road trip. And then Donor kind of took the torch. So this guy was kind of our good luck charm. I don't think we lost the game in Edmonton my 5 years. Like our record against them was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was also when Witt was there too. They were
Brutal. They were brutal.
I remember we beat you guys one game there for sure.
Like maybe one. I bet you we were like,
Witt, so he was in Calgary. He'd come on the flight with us to Edmonton, and we got him a room at the hotel. And we were like, "Red, how was your stay last night?" He was like, "Oh, it was good." He was like, "Next time, you think you could get me a room with a TV in it?" It was in like the bureau, you know how like you have to open it up. He didn't open up the what's it called?
yeah, like
He had no
The
clue.
armoire. He didn't
the
open
armoire.
that up to find the TV.
He's like, I don't have any clothes to put in there. I'm not going to go in that room. Oh, that was where the TV was, Red.
armoire. I like that. That's a
you.
good word.
So speaking of the West, finishing it up, I think the 8 teams
I think he
are
was
set.
a huge strip club guy too. We used to
He
all,
used to throw the toonies.
yeah, we'd all give him $100 from our per diem pack, and he'd go blow it at the rip
Oh
joint.
my God, he'd probably marry one of them with all that. He got
No, he
$2,200
did.
bucks.
No, he did.
Yeah, he did. And he fucking lost half of it immediately to the stripper. The 8 teams are set in the West, though, I think.
Yeah.
St. Louis has been on a complete tear. We're going to throw it to Army in a second.
This is
the Wild probably have a better chance of getting caught by somebody.
This is a St. Louis Blues themed podcast. Ever since the Winter Classic, right before that, they made the trade for Cam Fowler. That's where I kind of felt like they had something. The Kelly,
I still didn't then.
the Kelly Chase shoulder pads.
Yeah.
It felt like they started gaining a little bit momentum. Braden Shen's 1,000 game. You could say maybe it started earlier in the year when they picked up Monty. They had a hot start with him. Then they kind of faltered again after that. But I really felt like after the Winter Classic and Fowler scoring a couple goals in his 1,000th game and just kind of the mojo along with guys, like it's not just Holloway and Broberg, like Thomas, Kyrou have had huge years. Bolduc, they have this player in a window of 23 to 26 that are like, that's going to be their next core group that are all peaking right now at the perfect time. And this has been a hell of a run.
9 in a row.
One, if not the hottest team since the Four Nations. I talked to it with Doug Armstrong about how Thomas couldn't go because he was hurt. So, got the rest and really built up like, fuck, I want to play meaningful hockey. So should we throw it over to Doug Armstrong?
Yep. Winners of 9 in a row, including last game against Colorado, 2-1 on the road.
Before that, it was against Nashville. They were down 2-0 and then stormed back 3 unanswered. So it's been a magical run, and Benner's kicking. So they're fucking looking dangerous.
All right, time right now for Doug Armstrong.
What's going on, folks? Before we go any further, I'm here to talk about Noble. Noble is a footwear brand for training and for daily life, built to support you and your pursuit of physical, mental, and emotional strength. Noble celebrates a no bullshit approach to wellness. It's not an empty promise that a current trend or fad will help you get better. It's about the inner work and mentality you must find within yourself, just like I'm going to do for Chiclets Cup. I got my Noble sneakers. We're going to beat the wheels off the Boston Stranglers. You know why? Because it's Noble time, baby. With options across training and lifestyle, Noble has options for everyone. Once again, I love it. They got great colors, different styles, and exclusively for Spittin Chiclets listeners, yes, you're welcome. Noble is offering 30% off your order. Visit www.nobleproject.com/chiclets for 30% off your entire order. That's www.noblelproject.com/chiclets for 30% off. Folks, Noble, baby, let's go. What's up, guys? Before we go any further, I got to talk to you about DraftKings. This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out and games left for you to get in on the action on at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sportsbook betting partner of the NHL. The NHL is the fastest game on ice, and you can make fast live bets during any game on DraftKings Sportsbook. It's super easy for first timers to get started. Try betting or something simple like picking a team to win. To go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team and place your bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Chiclets. That's code Chiclets for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. Remember, the crown is yours. Welcome back to the podcast. Unfortunately, given the fact that you gave offer sheets to Broberg and Holloway, Whit will no longer be joining the podcast where we do interviews. So we've lost him. Jans' flight was delayed, but it's great to have you on, and your team is humming right now. One of the hottest teams in the league. It must feel unbelievable.
It sure does. Obviously the guys have came out of that Four Nations event with a purpose, and they've played really good hockey since then. I think having a new coach, I think having that little mini training camp really helped us. And Binnington and Pranko coming back on a high, and then Robert Thomas being healthy has taken his game to a new level. And just from top to bottom, young players to our captain Shen playing fantastic hockey. We've had contributions throughout the lineup, and that's the way we're built. And to have success, we need to have everyone pulling the rope in the same direction.
So we actually got Shatty coming on this podcast as well to talk about his retirement. So we're making it very Blues focused. But going back to the start of the year when you had to make that decision to let Bannister go, I mean, obviously it felt like Monty was really a guy that you'd been eyeing. So when he was fired, you guys scoop him up right away. Just an absolute no-brainer for you guys. It was. And it was one of those things where, going to bed the night before, we weren't considering a coaching change whatsoever. We were going to move in this certain direction. Then all of a sudden, someone of the caliber of Jim Montgomery comes available, and you have to be, for us, we had a plan, but you have to also be able to adjust to something like that coming down the pike. And again, Monty's track record, our relationship, my understanding of working with him here and knowing him, I thought he was a perfect fit. Not only for what we're doing today, but when we get there, he can coach that team too. It was one of those ones where when we talked, I said, not many coaches get this. You have to bake the cake, then you can have a slice or two if you want also. So he's done a really good job for us. And you were happy with Bannister, and it seemed like that was the decision coming into the year, and you're going to let him roll. So it was more about the fact that Monty and his talents became available more so than Bannister. How hard was that for you to deliver that news? It was really difficult. We did it early, and we were on a road trip in New York, and Drew, took it like a professional. I told him that it was more a reflection of someone of that caliber coming available. I think if you look back to when Drew got here, we were a 500 team. We ended up with 93 points.
We had more. If we were in the East, we would have made the playoffs last year. And transition, we brought in new players at the top of our lineup. This year, we brought in the offer sheet boys. So there was a lot going on, quite honestly. And we were just getting our feet under us, and then Monty became available. So it was one of those ones where I felt for Drew, but as you know, this business can be cruel at sometimes, and unfortunately we had to make a hard decision with Drew. But my job is always to do what I think is best for the St. Louis Blues as an organization.
Given how the year's gone with Monty under the helm, like, is there anything about the way he approaches coaching that surprised you, even though you knew he was as talented as he was? Like, is there anything you've been floored by? I always see the clips of how he enters the locker room and how he addresses the team, where I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy must have killed public speaking in high school and college, because he sure knows how to address a room and get everybody's attention.
Yeah, and obviously, as you know, I'm not privy to that being sitting upstairs, but I guess what I have learned and what I really appreciate is his dialogue after the games that we have, and then just our ability to communicate later on in the day after. Like every day we'll talk in the morning and then early evening just to refresh of what's going on. He does, I've worked over the years with people that ask me because they think they have to. They don't really care what I say, where Monty actually seems to digest a few of the things that we're talking about and agree to disagree, but at least he thinks about them.
That's awesome. That's and like, because you guys have such a young core, are you maybe expecting like more feedback more regularly? Like, does that make sense? Whereas if you have kind of an established veteran group, maybe you wouldn't be as communicating as much to the head coach, or are you trying to constantly get feedback to know? Because you look at this core that you guys have, it's kind of between the age of 23 and 26 where your really valuable pieces are, who are going to be that next wave of St. Louis Blue.
Yeah, I would say that this is for the first time in probably 24 months, Biz, that we've had our veterans and our young players all playing at the same time for the same purpose. And I understand it. I've been around the game long enough to realize that when things aren't going good, there's just human tendency is, okay, this isn't going well, I got to take care of myself. At the end of the day, like it is my profession. And right now we've been able to play good enough where the players can sacrifice personal gains for the benefit of the team. And then when you see the benefit of that, it pays dividends. And I think that Monty and I talk quite a bit because we have really strong leadership in Shen and Falk and Parenko and Binnington, and that next wave of guys coming. And we just got a couple of guys like Buchnevich, Kyrou, and Thomas that are sort of stuck in the middle there. But Thomas and Kyrou are at the young age of that, and they are the engine moving forward. They're the engine now, obviously. Robert Thomas is just such an elite player. I felt bad for him this October, November when he got hurt, because, I know he had his sights set on the Four Nations, and now missing that opportunity because of the injury. The work that he's doing now, he's on everybody's radar screen for the Olympics, and that's just a positive for the organization. But yeah, we do ask a little bit more, because what we want to do is build a foundation that's sustainable. So as they mature, we don't have to ask as many questions.
That's awesome. Yeah, because with Robert Thomas getting hurt, like, I feel like some of those players who were able to get that rest have been able to come out of those breaks and kind of light the world on fire as he's done. And I feel like him and Kyrou are just really coming into their own. Like, the reason why you gave them those 8x8 contracts is exactly what we're seeing now. And even going towards Kyrou, where maybe there was some inconsistencies in his game, where he's kind of rounded those out a little bit more.
I think there's, you can rush a lot of things in life. You can't rush maturity and experience. And Kyrou came into a highly functioning team, and it was hard to get in. And then we thrust the contract on him and the opportunities. And, it took him a little while to grow into it, but now every night he's a threat to score goals. That's what he gets paid to do. That's his, everybody has one quality that they lean on, and his is to put the puck in the net. And he does that regularly for us now. I just think he's very comfortable with the pressure that comes with being a scorer. He understands the effect that he has to have on the game. And but it's one thing scoring, the other thing scoring and being a plus player. That's what he is now. It's really no good if you get 2 and give up 3. at the end of the night, that's not a good night for the team. And that's where he's really matured and grown. And as I said, you have Robert Thomas, you have him, and then you have that Broberg, Holloway, Jake Neighbors, Hofer, a bunch of guys, Bolduc, a couple of first-round picks coming into our group now. So we do have a wide grasp of players. The one thing, again, that excites me about Monty is that Holloway and Bolduc are playing the best hockey, and so is Shen. And so those are the goalposts, age-wise, and he's getting the most out of those. And so I'm sure everybody in between the posts is doing well too.
I was going to bring it to Binnington, but I guess we'll go to Schenner. There was rumblings that he was potentially on the trade blocks. I actually heard a story, this could be completely fake, on Twitter, where I get all my news, that you guys had actually maybe brought him one and proposed it, and he was not happy about it. Where, like, what was that like? And obviously the decision to eventually keep him because you guys didn't get what you thought the value was in return ended up paying dividends. Like, he's doing what he's doing now. He's the leader of this team. And sometimes the best deals are the ones you don't make. So I'll just throw it to your plate. Like, is that true? And was he not happy about it? And obviously, have you guys reconciled your differences?
Yeah, well, maybe I'll take it a little bit further back. Is coming out of the Four Nations, our job as a management group is to have a plan, and then you adjust to what the information you're given. And we said to the teams that, we're not playing to a caliber of hockey that's sustainable or successful. We have players that are going to be available. And now, with the caveat, if we start winning games, things will change. So if you want to buy now. and we ended up going on a little bit of a heater. And then we got to that last game, and we had said that the only trade, we're going to make a hockey trade. We're not going to make a futures trade, because the players had given us the information that's what was needed. Like, they would understand a hockey trade. They wouldn't, not that we do it because we need their acceptance. We have to do our job, but they had earned the right to play this out. And so if we could have done a hockey trade, we would have looked at it, but we weren't going to do a futures trade. And again, this isn't with Schenner, it's with anybody with a no trade clause in our group. They have the right to veto a trade, and they've earned that right. We've negotiated that right. But I also have the right to find out what their value is and take it to them later too. So it's a no trade doesn't mean no talk. No trade means you get the final say. And that's just not Schenner. That's everybody.
How many times did you have to use yesterday's price is not today's price at the deadline?
I use it a couple of times.
But when you spoke to him about maybe something potentially happening, was he maybe a little upset, saying like no, I believe that I can get things turned around here with this group? Like, was there any dialogue like that, or maybe is that a little bit too private? Am I getting above my skis here?
Yeah, I don't really want to get into individual stuff, just because I don't think it's fair to him, because whatever I say now, he's going to be asked about tomorrow after somebody sees the podcast. But in theory, what I said to you earlier is true, is that, I have a job to do, and they've earned the right. And we had a situation because he's not playing anymore. I can bring it up with Torrey Krug a couple of years ago, and he said no, and I said I respect that. You've earned the right, and we move on. And so but I do say to players, like, it's easy for me to say it's only a business. I'm not packing up and moving. so I do get it when it's brought to them, but I have a job to do, and my job is for the St. Louis Blues organization. But I always respect the player that has his rights, and he's earned those rights because of his play and his stature in the league.
Oh my God, it'd be funny to golf with you a full round. You got some good one-liners, Harvey, eh? You don't fuck around. I want to talk, you mentioned maturity earlier, and Binnington came in the league, ends up winning the Stanley Cup very early on. I think there was a lot of attention drawn to him after that, where probably given his attitude and how he carries himself, so maybe some guys taking cheap shots at him in the crease, and he's a fiery guy, and he would want to handle his own business, and maybe kind of got a little bit lost in the sauce with that kind of stuff. And I feel like maybe you and the organization, I know Chief at the time might have had a conversation with him where he looks as locked in and as focused as he did when he went on that playoff run. Do you feel the same? And do you feel like that maturity has finally came along with all the accolades and the money and the contract that followed all that success?
Yeah, and again, as we talked about earlier, you can't rush experiences and things like that. And I think one of the things though, Biz, that is different is that when you're winning and that shit happens, everyone just laughs it off. But when the team's not winning, that just gives them something to point to why. And I remember saying, I think it might have been last year, maybe it was 2 years ago when he wanted to get a Fleury. I was just like, just let him go. Let's get this out of his system. Like, uncle, if you want to have it, go have it. but it didn't happen. And we did talk to him after and said, like, his fire was all for the right reasons. It was team oriented, but it became a distraction. It became a distraction to the coaches, to himself. And he understood that. And, he's probably right at the tail end of having to deal with a lot of things because of that. The referees, human nature is, hey, you brought it on yourself, deal with it. The extra whack, the extra punch, the extra push. And he dealt with that now for the better part of 120 games. And now I don't see, they don't do it as much anymore because he doesn't react to it. And I think he's earned the referee's trust again, that he's not trying to navigate the game in a different way. He just wants to play his position, stop the puck. And then you fast forward that to the Four Nations. And I think going into the Four Nations, the question was, where was the goaltending in Canada going to stack up to the other countries? And he goes in there. We don't get if you go back to game 1, we don't get a point without him in overtime. He made some great saves against the Swedes. That if we don't get that extra point, we're not in the final game. And then you get to the final game and what he did to the U.S. in the finals, it just made it validated his stature in the league, but it also and being an Ontario and Toronto fan there, like he can go home this summer now and breathe. Like, could you imagine if a bad goal had gone in? Like, he wouldn't have gone to Toronto. Now I said, you just go there. Go out every day. You're going to get a free beer from somebody.
Well, and he's a sick puppy and he lives for those moments. Like, I feel like he is one of those guys that even going back a few years ago when you guys played against Colorado, you guys were the hardest series they had. And if he doesn't get injured there with his knee, I want to say it was Kadri who fell on him. I don't think, that might have gone to 7.
Yeah, we were up and we were playing really good hockey. I think that's the year they won. I think we could have scared them, but hey, things happen in life and things happen in hockey. I felt bad for Benner. I felt bad for our team, but he's a competitor. Like, if you get him there, and that's always one of my belief in him is, like, we have to just supply a team for him. And when we get there, I know he's not going to spit the bit.
I can't remember somebody offer sheeting somebody and it working out as well as the Holloway one has, but you did it with 2 guys and you have struck gold on both. Should we be expecting this more from the St. Louis Blues? Have you gotten death threats from Oilers fans, including Witt, recently, especially when you were at Four Nations?
So it's a funny story going into that. We were in Edmonton at the Halinka, that just before we did that. And we had all this plan. We had to wait till arbitrations were done. There was a plan on when we did it, but I said to our guys, like, don't send that fax till that plane gets out of Canadian airspace.
That is unbelievable.
So we got home and we did it actually a day or two later, but it was a perfect storm, Biz, honestly. And I actually think it's probably going to reduce offer sheets than increase them. Because when I look and see, Edmonton had a really good July 1st. They improved their team. They're still a favorite to win the cup, but to do that, they had to assume some risk on amount of cap space they had. Now you look at Boston, Detroit went totally the opposite way. Detroit had the forward and the young D. They left 19 million there. Boston had the goalie. They left 10 million. So I think what I'm expecting is that the rising cap would likely mean it's harder to get an offer sheet through. And I think teams are going to make sure that they prioritize their players. So let's say we have a player now, we're gonna save as much money as necessary to match anything that we don't think is fair. Now, if somebody offers 3 or 5 first rounders, I'm not like, maybe we'll say as an organization, we'll take that. So we don't have to save more than that. So I think, we're going to try and organize it where we'll we won't match it if the compensation is what we think is appropriate. And I think, we're going to make sure we save enough space for our guys. And I think it might have just let everyone maybe focus a little bit more that buyer beware if you're right against it.
I think the comments you use, because people were questioning on whether you would have sent the offer sheets over if it was Ken Holland, who was still the GM. And I think you said, I would have sent those offer sheets over if my mother was the GM of the Edmonton Oilers. The way that these guys are performed, I actually believe you now.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, and you know how St. Louis operates. You're here for a short time, but you have a lot of friends in our organization still. And it's a blue collar city that expect us to do the best we can do every day. And if we do that, they're going to support us, and offer sheets are part of that. And my job is to take care of the St. Louis Blues organization. Mr. Stillman, who's our owner here, says something to me that resonates is, you're just a steward of the franchise for a small amount of time. You're not the franchise. No one's bigger than the franchise. No player, no coach, no owner, no manager. So just do your best to make sure you're doing the best for the organization. And I thought at that time, or we thought at that time, the best for the organization was to do something unorthodox in the offer sheets, because we thought we could get the players.
Unbelievable move. Who are you most excited about as far as those young groups? Like you mentioned Bull Duke. I don't think he's talked about a lot. He's had a really good coming out party this year. So like I mentioned before, it just seems like everybody from that 23 to 26 year age is just thriving and kind of, maturing very quickly and maybe a little bit ahead of a schedule.
Yeah, well, I would say we talked about Thomas and Kyrou, because, it's one thing to be the best players, but then you have to be like good leaders, and you have to set a standard, and they're setting that standing. They're learning to do it more and more every day, which is exciting. And then drafting skill, we're starting to see it paying off. Like Bull Duke is a scorer. The Snuggerud kid that just signed out of Minnesota is a scorer. He had his first practice here today. We saw some release points that were impressive. Dvorsky's another playmaking centerman. So the excitement is that, and we know they're all not going to hit. That's why we sort of buckshot that. We're trying to get as many guys in a 5-year birth rate. So if you have 13, maybe 8 will play. Well, that's a lot. That's a lot in a 5-year plan. And what we're trying to do is get these guys all together so they can grow together. They can skin their knee together, but they can also have great success together.
All right, guys, before we go any farther, let us introduce you to Rhoback Activewear. It's azalea season and Rhoback is ready. If you've ever seen those incredible floral polos for spring golf, yeah, those are Rhoback. Check out our latest Sandbagger video that this man edited right here to see us rocking these beautiful, beautiful polos. We can't get enough of them, and we have the Sandbagger with foreplay this week, and you bet your ass we'll be wearing some Rhoback polos. The combo of fun colors, incredible designs, and the best fit out there make this our favorite collection. With new releases for polos, Q-zips, and hoodies, this collection is simply loaded. So use code Chiclets on Rhoback.com for a generous, very generous 20% off your first purchase through the end of this week. That's CHICLETS on RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all hoodies, joggers, and more with the code Chiclets.
So Grinelli's head's about to pop off because I haven't mentioned that Snuggerud kid yet. He's been doing all the Chiclets University series. He's all about the college hockey, which is thriving and doing unbelievable along with this series. And he was mentioning to me that a lot of people expected him to potentially maybe sign after his freshman year. Well, he goes back his sophomore year, has a great year, goes back even for a junior year after they thought he would sign after sophomore year. So what is it about his decision to stay there and develop? Like, obviously you guys are happy with the way that it's transpired, but what do you think the ceiling is for this kid? Because we've seen a lot in the college ranks, and people think he's going to be a bona fide superstar.
Yeah. Superstar, there's not a lot of those, but I think when he went back, we wanted him to come out after his freshman year. If he had to come, we would have accepted that, but we weren't pushing that. After his sophomore year, when the two guys he had most success with, Knives and Cooley, had both gone. we thought he could come out after sophomore year, and he made a really well-educated, well-thought-out reason to stay about gaining physical strength, extra practice time, becoming better on the wall. He wanted to improve his leadership skills, and going back there, he was a captain of the team. And all those things, we thought he should have turned pro. And in hindsight, he was right. That extra year really helped him on the ice, off the ice. I picked him up the other day to take him to the rink, and you were talking to a man. When you come to development camp, you're talking to boys. He's a man. And his mindset is that of a man now. He understands this is how he's going to make his living. One of the things that we talk to our younger players about is, I expect you to be extremely respectful in the locker room, understand your place, but when you get on the ice, do not be respectful. I mean, these guys are counting on you to put food on their table. So you do what you do. If you're a shooter, you shoot the puck. Don't overthink it, because that's what they need and they expect of you, because this is how they make their living too.
So he wasn't doing the Revo, falling asleep in the hot tub. He wasn't grabbing the aux cord like I was when I first got there, asking where my per diem pack was. He came in all class and treating the boys with respect.
Yes. Yeah. And as I said, it's just his first day, but I just think that he's just mature now. And I think he's going to be a really good pro. But the good thing is where we're at in our maturation, we don't need him to come in. He's not the final piece. It's not like you have to do this or else it's a failure. He's going to come in. If Monty plays him, great. If he doesn't play him, the experience that him and Dvorsky are getting about just being around Shen and Parenko and Binnington and Thomas and those guys is going to be so beneficial for next year. But I do think he can score some goals, and we're going to find out here maybe over the next 5 or 6 games on how he fits into our group.
That's awesome. Actually, the G and Fish were also saying that Faber had a little bit to do with this decision as well, staying that extra year, the maturity, being a leader on that team. So I've pretty much asked you, I think, everything I wanted to ask you about the Blues, and we want to thank you for hopping on. I think this is your 3rd or 4th time, and we wanted to make it a Blues-focused podcast because you guys are one of the best, if not the best story in the league right now. So thank you so much, Army, for hopping on. And G, did you have anything else?
Any final words for Whit?
Yeah. Any final words for our buddy?
Yeah, well, I hope he gets better. I'm very, very nervous now. I want to make sure he's okay. No, tell him I miss him. I wish he was on. And your new partner, I haven't had an opportunity to meet him yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And I always love coming on with you guys. It's a ton of fun, and getting some one-on time with the biz. That's a highlight of my career.
That is. And I'm going to leave you with one difficult one. You could say pass and not answer. You guys are more than likely going to end up in a wild card. You would either play, probably looks like Vegas or the Winnipeg Jets. Any preference on maybe who you think you match up against better? Any preference to travel? Maybe Vegas, play the tables a little bit.
I'm going to take a hard pass.
Okay. All right. That's a very wise decision. Okay. Well, Army, we can't thank you enough, buddy. And good luck on getting another run here. And hopefully you guys make a push.
Always. Thanks, Biz. Always appreciate it, pal.
You're the man. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Army. Biz, great job there.
Unreal.
Picking us up. Appreciate it. And the Blues are humming. The NHL and Rogers have agreed, according to Politico, I think it is, Sportico, on a new Canadian TV deal. 12 years, 11 billion Canadian, which is like 1 billion US. No, 7.7 billion in current
You're
USD.
A fucking idiot.
More than double the current deal that I think ends after next season. Owners are going to vote on it this week. Kind of crazy. I think that's like Amazon would then buy some of that. Do you know how it would work?
That would be what I would assume.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not exactly the guy to ask about this type of stuff.
So Rogers owns some of the Leafs, right? Or MLSE.
They own like regional stuff as well. Like Elliot will do regional Leafs games and stuff like that. And I think that they would probably delegate some of that. I think they probably just learned the lesson from watching what happened with the basketball situation with Turner.
Get ahead of it.
Yeah, get ahead of it. And then if you own it, then you can always sell parts of it off rather than, worrying about that later and having people outbid you. I thought it was going to get to a place where it was going to come up and it was kind of going to be like the States where I think you want the exposure of having ESPN carry hockey and TNT and different players. Cause like, not only can you consume it in different ways, but like, it's just good to have different people doing it. I think more jobs. I think that TSN has some very talented people there. They do regional games, of course, but I would have assumed that it would have been Amazon, TSN, Sportsnet, and then maybe even another random network in Canada that would have taken it on, just kind of like we talked about the US. But hey, man, congrats to them for locking it in and controlling that. And that's great for the league, man. That just means the cap's going to keep going up. Like that's
for sure.
That is like some gnarly money.
And the US deal, I think, is $600 million per season, and that has what, 2 more years? That'll have 3 more years. 3 more years.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll have 2 more years after that deal was supposed to be up. So that deal that we just talked about was supposed to end at the end of next season.
Okay.
So, and after that, there's 2 more years. So 3 after this year. And just a great job.
That next US TV deal could be huge.
Yeah, I think that you're not trying to price yourself out, or you're trying to kind of trickle it out where you want to continue to draw fans in, right? You don't want to all of a sudden have one outbid it, and then all of a sudden not a lot of people can access it, and then it's being counterproductive from the amount of people watching hockey. So that's just kind of where I'm at, but money talks.
I know, but it's good to see though that, I mean, they do a great job, right? And they're spending a lot of money now. So it's awesome to see that the money's flowing. The money is flowing in the NHL, and that, you're right, the cap will continue to go up. Sidney Crosby, guys. I sent this to Keith and myself's group chat at home. Like, it's mind-boggling that he has over a point per game in 20 seasons. 20 NHL seasons. Like, a point per game is so hard, so difficult. How many of those years has he been like 30 or 40 points higher, right? I mean, maybe not that much, but like, he's still doing it 20 years later. He knocked up and made sure that he would get over a point per game. And it's crazy to me. It's wild to think. So like, he's done it every year he's ever played hockey, right? He's probably, for like the first maybe 13 years of his life, he's probably over 2 points per game.
I think he could still do it another 3 more years.
Game, for sure.
Yeah, I think.
He's such a psycho off the ice about taking care of his body. Like, he's not the type of guy who's he's not gonna have, when he's not 100% committed, he's not gonna play hockey anymore. Next year you got the Olympics. He'll be in the best shape of his life. He's gonna be ready for that.
Yep.
Point per game. And then what? Does he have 1 more year or 2 more years after that on his deal?
And he's already proven that, like, when the time came that he wasn't the fastest player anymore, it like wouldn't affect him.
Cerebral.
And so, like, I think as long as he's playing, he'll just get over a point per game. 20 years. Broke Gretzky's record of 19 years doing it.
And what's his drop off? If he's at 60 points, like, are you mad about that? If he's 43 years old at putting up 60 points, if I'm a Penguins fan, I still want him on the team.
I'd probably uninvite him to the sandbagger, but I'd still be okay with it.
Yeah, you'd be fine.
Maybe he won't want to play. Like, I bet you if he has a season where he's under, that'll be it.
Can you imagine? That's when
he's like, he finishes with 80 points in 81 games. He missed 1 game. He's like, see you guys.
I'm
all right, so let's look here. He's 9th in all-time scoring with 1,677 points. Next is Lemieux, then Yzerman, then Dion, Ron Francis, Gordie Howe, Mark Messier, Jaromir Jagr, Wayne Gretzky. Who does he catch? Okay, he's Lemieux's at 1,723. So that would be, he's 46 points away from him.
Chuck.
So
I think he also, do you think he could beat Mario's franchise record in goals?
No, 56, sorry. What?
Do you think he could beat Mario's franchise record in goals? Because he just passed it in assist. I would imagine he plays to beat that. That would be my guess. It would be very difficult.
You need 72 more. 72 more goals.
I think he'll be very close. I think that he'll retire with being the Pittsburgh Penguins leader and everything, unless, of course, he gets dealt.
So
4 more years, 20 goals a year.
All right, so let's see here. I think my math is way off. All right, so 23.
He's not asking.
Plus 23, 46. So he needs 47 points to pass Lemieux. So he's going to get him. And then he needs like 33 more after that to pass Yzerman. He's going to get him. And then he needs like another less than 20 to get Dion. I think he might end up fourth all time. I don't know if he'll catch Howe. But he is on the path. He's going to catch Francis, I think. Francis is he needs 125 more, right? Roughly.
That's doable.
Get that, right?
That's doable.
This is crazy, though. I mean, me trying to do math right now, and then with you two,
That's okay.
You two are just
food.
looking at me like
It's very soothing, actually.
what's math?
You could say any number would be like, yeah, all right. Yeah, he'll do it.
Is this what it's like listening to me read?
You see those torpedo bats in Major League Baseball?
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on there?
I hope that, so the little research I've done on it, like they hired a guy from MIT.
It's exactly the GM
How
of
the fuck did we get there?
No, it's the
the
GM
math.
of the it's the GM of the Hurricanes. It's the same story.
No way.
Yes, dude. The guy was like an MIT professor or something. I gotta look this up.
But I hope that they just paid this guy a shit ton of money and like, hey, make these bats just for our team.
I heard the Rondon
Can't give them
trade
to
was
anyone
going
else.
down. They said he won't agree to a contract extension. He said, I don't give a fuck. I'm worried about the torpedo bats. Just trade for him. And that's what I heard
No, it
happened.
wasn't the guy. He was saying it's like that guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, it's like very similar where the guy
He's
wasn't
not
like
involved in baseball.
Oh, he's not?
No, you can't.
okay. Aaron Leanhart, the mastermind behind the Yankee torpedo bats, has one of the craziest career pivots ever. He earned a PhD from MIT. He worked on a NASA-funded research team. He was a physics professor at Michigan for 7 years, and then he left academics at 40 years old to pursue baseball. He started at the Dawson Community College in Montana before becoming a minor league coach for the Yankees. Leanhart then got moved to the big league club and was responsible for bridging the gap between the analytics department and the players by translating complex analytical data into actionable insights. What a journey. And he built the torpedo bats.
Wow.
What a read.
This guy's like Forrest Gump.
I know. Look at him, too. Guy was a
he kind of
physics professor at Michigan, and now he's
looks
coach
like
of
a
the Yankees. One of the
nail
coach
gun.
of the Yankees.
Yeah.
And these bats, apparently they've taken the wood out of like, I don't even know.
I think they
Old
took
ships.
No, they took like the sweet spot out of like other bats and put it where the dead spots are. It's all legal, right?
Hey, do you know that if you're from Tennessee and you get into a college in Texas, you go for free?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get to slam everything.
Yeah.
Homeless guy told
And
me.
you get to bring a torpedo bat to school to protect yourself from homeless people that Keith.
You get to give your professors
Fed.
wedgies too.
There's homeless people that you use a torpedo bat on if they come near you, unless Walt's with them, giving them food at an NHL
Showers.
pregame meal. Showers.
You should call Walt.
Wow,
and
that was weird.
Ovi's 5 goals away, boys.
Okay, we're back
He's
there.
got 9 games left.
Well, he's doing it. That's
Okay,
a fact.
he is?
Oh, 100%.
I think it's going to be Pittsburgh. We've said this 400 times on the show this year,
But-
you said it first show of the season, Pittsburgh game.
So we're actually flexing a bunch of games.
I saw Jazz was at IceCon. I was supposed to bring that up. He
Our
took
statistician.
He drove down Saturday morning, and I saw him at the Barstool Bar, and he was telling me that you guys got a bunch of OV games coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got this week. They're playing Carolina, and then I believe we got next week or next Sunday as well. It wasn't supposed to be, but they're going to keep flexing them. And when it hit 5 games, Bettman and Wayne on the road together. They're bunking up. They're following the goal chase.
Sharing a bed.
Sharing a room.
Nice.
They're bunking up. Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. They're documenting the whole process. That's going to
Because
be
Gordy did it for Wayne.
Gordy did it for Wayne, and they're going to document it with the Amazon, them bunking up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Them getting room service together.
Yeah.
Disagreeing on movies.
Yeah, probably. Some Sunday action late night. Who sleeps on the cot?
I was going to say something I'm not going to say, but I think that Wayne will be shoving Gary in a cot
Yeah,
any second, any
No doubt.
chance he gets.
that's what I thought.
Gary,
too.
come put this pot. I'm going to put this cot in the hallway, and you're going to sleep out there, and I don't want to hear a word out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Okay? Just get the jet ready, and Obi better break this thing soon
Just
because I
get
want
that
to go back to the
HHR
Grove.
up with these TV deals and do your job.
Also, I'm having this daydream of like Sid being psychotic about not wanting, like Ovi needs the goal that game, and then Sid like diving in the crease to like knock it out from going in. Like, Sid does not want that to happen against them. No way.
He's gonna shadow him the entire game.
No way.
I don't know.
No way.
I don't know.
No
I think
way.
that
You're talking about how psychotic Sid is. You think he wants Ovi to break the record against him?
I feel like the pettiness of their rivalry is gone. Like Sid,
I don't think it was ever petty. I think it was just two nail guns head to head.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think that they carry the animosity towards each other like they once did. Like not in
Agreed.
not in a bad way. It's because like the media and everybody was pinning them up against one another. Like who was going to be better? Like who was going to win the Stanley Cups? Like, who was going to be the better number one overall pick? Like it was just kind of like built up media wise. Where now they've been able to achieve everything they've been able to achieve. Where like I would say that they're dead even. Like you're going to have one guy who's going to have the goal record. Well, I think Sid's way more happy with 3 cups. Than having that in 1 cup, right? So it's just kind of the Olympic gold, and so they both achieved and lived up to every bit of hype that went towards their way. So I don't know if he would care. I actually think he would not mind being there for that experience. Now, if we're talking about something like that, it was pretty cool. I don't know if you saw when Washington was leaving the ice the other night. Ovi called all the guys back onto the ice to say goodbye to Marc-Andre Fleury, knowing that he was going to be their last matchup against one another. So just a cool gesture. And like, I think that Ovi's one of those guys, he flies under the radar. Like, he doesn't like, I don't think he necessarily likes talking about himself, but you could just see that he's a great guy, great teammate. You see these videos with his teammates in the hallway. Bands make them dance. Yeah. Bands make them dance.
I was thinking they have to have Juicy J come and perform that for him. If he's 1 goal away, they have to have him come and sing that song in the hallway.
It's so funny whenever he's singing it too. Like all the guys are dying laughing.
He's got a big piece of gum in.
I swear to God. I swear to God. One shot to make a dance. I got a hole in one.
I love their tunnel antics.
Oh my God, more than anything. I love their locker room. The
Rangers bus ran into Macklin Celebrini car apparently.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck are they doing? What's this bus driver doing?
1-0. Actually, 2, they beat him that night. Yeah, that's a...
If you come out of the game,
think of how
a
tight...
bus hit your car, what the hell?
Remember how tight that driveway was in San Jose, though? So you can't put too much blame. Macklin, probably a rookie driver. He's probably only had his license for 2 years. Probably left it out a little too far. Can't blame the bussy here.
Yeah, bussy's like, not on me.
Yep.
What kind of car was it, G?
It was a Range Rover
X3.
Oh, nice,
Heard of
it? Not the little one, right?
No, I think he's got the big dog.
Sometimes people are like, I got a Range. It's the Sport.
JT Miller had an X3.
That's who did it. That's who was driving the bus.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Pasha's like, yes, I hate that car.
Do you expect anything less from that organization than to hit and run in a parking lot?
Did they run?
Oh, they ran.
Celebrini was calling Bettman up. He's like, hold on, Wayne's ordering fries to the room. Let me get on this. I'll fix this right now. You wait 1 second here. All right, with that, we're going to throw it over to Kevin Shattenkirk. Kevin Shattenkirk, one of the best guys I've ever met. Yeah. Hell of a career. We interviewed him a few months back, right when he announced his retirement. We've been sitting on it a while. Great dude. We're going to throw it over to him right now. We talk about his career, his life in the NHL, and what's next for Deuces. So right now, Kevin Shattenkirk.
Woo woo! It's Flash IV time. Body Armor, baby. And this episode is brought to you by Body Armor. Flash IV, of course. Body Armor Flash IV is packed with electrolytes and provides faster and longer lasting hydration with no artificial flavors, sweeteners, or dyes. With great tasting flavors like strawberry kiwi, tropical punch, Body Armor Flash IV gives your body the rehydration it needs to recover. I'll be slamming tons of this in preparation, in training for Chiclets Cup. You know I'm diving in. I'm going to be playing this year, and there's no way that my knees don't buckle or I don't throw out my L5S1 unless I'm completely hydrated from Body Armor, whether it's the water, whether it's the Flash IV, whether it's whatever they got. Because I'm going to need it. All hands on deck. Get yours at your local 7-Eleven or on Amazon today. Drink Body Armor.
All right, guys, before we go any farther, it's time to talk to you about our good friends at Game Time. The best part of college basketball is here, and we know you're as excited as we are to watch some big upsets throughout the tournament, even though there hasn't been a ton. While we've been streaming in the cave, you can get out to see the action in person with Game Time, the official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the app actually go down closer to showtime. Plus, the Game Time's pick feature makes it even easier to find the great deals on the seats that you want. You can find last-minute tickets for the tournament for up to 60% off quickly and easily. Just pull up your chosen event, turn on the GT Pick setting at the top of the screen, or browse your best local Game Time picks deals near you on your Game Time app homepage. I was looking at tickets for Bruins playoff games, but unfortunately for me, the Bruins won't be making the playoffs. And I know, Pasha, you've been dialing in on Game Time.
I have, yeah. Thanks to Luke Hughes' heroics after Jack Hughes went down, the Devils will be making the playoffs, playing Carolina. And you better believe I'll be using Game Time to secure my tickets for games 3 and 4 in Jersey, and hopefully a lot more games than that if they can pull off a miracle run. No better place than Game Time. Easy to use, great prices. So use Game Time to get Devils tickets, and I'll see you at the games.
Devils fans, what are you waiting for? Pasha's using the tickets to pick out his seats on Game Time picks. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Chiclets for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Chiclets for $20 off. Download Game Time app today. What time is it?
Game time.
It is a pleasure and an honor, and I can't believe it's taken this long. But now we finally have Stanley Cup champ, good friend of ours, and newly retired Kevin Shattenkirk. What's going on, Shatty? How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, my man. Good to be on here. I know I can't believe it's taken this long, but this is a good time to do it.
We've been doing it so long now. I was like, has he been on? Thinking years ago. Grinnell's like, no, he kind of always said once he retired. So it worked out good. And we were kind of hoping to see you again, but I guess finally you realized it was time. It was time. You'd done so much and you were just kind of ready to hang him up, huh?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think if you asked me that in July and August, it would have been a different answer. Even through September, you're kind of waiting around through training camp and seeing what might come around. But it kind of starts to sink in a little bit, and I think being home and getting the opportunity to be around the family a little bit more and hang out with the kids, see them start to grow and be around for some milestones. It was kind of the right time. And I think, I reflected on a lot of things. I think, I always wanted to play 1,000 games. In the last couple of years, I was focused on that. And then when I really thought about it, I kind of knew that wasn't going to make or break my career. I didn't come into the league to play 1,000 games. I came in to play one and see what happened after that. So happy to be in this spot now.
Were you training after the season, preparing as if though you were going to play? Was it a case of where you were still trying to find a contract? Were you offered PTOs? How did that all go down?
Yeah, I was training, I was skating, trying to stay ready and see what happen, what might come around. But I had a couple offers for PTOs at the beginning of the, training camps, going into training camps. And I just kind of thought, that isn't really what I wanted to do. God forbid, something didn't work out and you get cut. That's not really how I wanted things to end.
You probably saw what me and Whit went through. You're like, I'm not going to be like those fucking losers.
Well, I was glad I had a front row seat for that. So it was nice to be there for your PTO experience.
The
with the
circus
Blues.
was in town for a couple of weeks.
You know what? That was for me, I feel like that was the start of this podcast. We would go out to lunch and I feel like there would be 6 of us. We would just sit back and listen to you two go. I remember Whit telling a story about flossers and Biz was stealing your floss or something from you. Bought them from CVS for $10. Biz wanted to give you $2 for them.
The individual ones, and then he snagged
the individuals.
Them. He took them out of my hotel room. Yeah, I just bought them.
Don't
and
you
now
get 1,000 in a pack?
Yeah, he took them all. And he took them all. And then
two?
Now he's flossing on the golf course in Sandbagger, so he hasn't changed.
No. No, not at all. But I was like, there's something here. I think these two are going to have something to go out on after.
But going back to that experience, though, the one thing that I took away from just getting to hang out with you and the rest of the Blues is how tight-knit group it was, and just like the camaraderie. And you have a lot of friends and you're a funny bastard. So I would imagine that is probably the hardest thing for you to let go of right now, is just all the guys in the locker room, going to the rink every day and being out of that routine with your friends.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone warned you about, right? Is telling you that's what you're going to miss the most. And there's no doubt that's the hardest part. But I feel like when I played, I really cherished a lot of those moments, a lot of those small moments, and being at practice on a day that you didn't want to be there, and maybe giving shit to a coach for bringing you in on an off day or something. That's what brought the group together, and I always kind of tried to take a step back and just never take anything for granted, and always appreciate every day in the league. And I know a lot of guys say that, but I had a lot of fun, and part of that maybe held me back a little bit as a player sometimes, but I never missed a night out, and always wanted to be that guy that was there and didn't miss any of those jokes or funny moments.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I miss is the plane rides, the locker room, and like Biz said, every team that you were on was a close-knit group, and it was probably because, I know you're not going to say it about yourself, but it's probably because of you, because every guy you talk to just raves about how good of a teammate you were, and in the locker room, obviously your play on the ice spoke for itself, and even going back to the thousand games thing, I have a silver stick, but you got the silver trophy, so you don't need that, right? You got yourself a Stanley Cup, and obviously amazing for that, but amazing career.
Thank you. No, it was great. I mean, I like you said, I think that made the decision a little bit easier, knowing that you have a Stanley Cup in your back pocket, and playing on 7 different teams along the way, and not really knowing where you're going to fit in the locker room. I think that was something I was fortunate for, that every group I went into always had a great group of guys, both young and old, and I tried to just impart my wisdom wherever I went.
It's really great for you that you got your cup, because you'd been in St. Louis for a long time, and all those guys, or a lot of them, Steiner and these dudes that you were really close with, when they won, like it wasn't the same season like when I was traded, but it had to be like, oh my God, like I'm happy for them, but I also was kind of a part of a lot of that in the growing years. So then to get yours, it had to feel extra special after witnessing them get theirs, right?
Oh, it was, huge weight off my shoulders. I mean, I got traded to Washington. They won it the year after I left. And I thought, the team that I was on, that was maybe one of the best teams I played on in my career. And then following that year, then St. Louis goes on this magical run and takes the Stanley Cup home. And I was obviously very, very happy for those guys, for the city. I know what it's like to play there, but yeah, that one hurt a lot, and you're just thinking like, oh, maybe I'm that guy that's just going to be missing his chance by this much his whole career. Then I got bought out that summer, which was, even more of a gut wrench. But, I look back on it now and smile. It was obviously the best thing that happened to me, and went on to Tampa Bay to do something special.
We'll get into that in a little bit, but I like starting at the beginning, especially a guy like I've known, but we've never really had a discussion about you growing up and how you got into the game, how you fell in love with it. So New Rochelle, New York is where you grew up, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is that Long Island technically?
No, it's Westchester.
Westchester. Okay.
Yep.
So like you're a diehard Rangers fan. You know that as a little kid, you remember just watching Rangers games. You remember the beginning years of hockey, how you got into it and all those things.
Yeah, I mean, my brothers led the way. I have 2 older brothers, and they, my dad moved around a bit for work. He was in London and Japan. So when they came back home before I was born, my oldest brother wanted to get into some sort of winter sport and tried hockey out. That was kind of the birth of hockey in our family. But
your dad never played?
My dad never played. He was a football, rugby bruiser type of a guy. So, when I would turn like 3 or 4 years old, my brothers were playing for the New Rochelle Lightning, and my parents just didn't want to chase me around the rink anymore. So there was a little studio rink. They threw me into a learn to skate, and the rest was history. But from that point on, like we were growing up playing at Rye Playland, which is where the Rangers used to practice. So, this is the golden years of the Rangers with Leach and Graves and Messier, Kovalev, Richter, the list goes on. And once a week I was watching these guys on the ice, and from there I went to New Jersey Devils youth program. The Devils teams were practicing at our rink. So I had it around me just by chance all these years. And, just amazing to be able to experience that as a young kid.
It's funny having two older brothers, because you were probably also just going to their games, and then some kids are running around, some kids are watching it, and some kids are doing a little of both. But they probably meant so much to you. Like when you're drafted and end up in the NHL, without your older brothers, you watching them and following them, it probably never even happens.
No, without a doubt. I mean, I was grateful that they always included me, right, with their friends. A lot of times, you're probably just pushed off to the side, but, I was always allowed to play outside with them and always serve the purpose, even if it meant getting in net, like most younger brothers know, you just do whatever you can to get in the game. I think also to make it this far and have two brothers who didn't have any ounce of jealousy in them, they were proud of me every step of the way. And that means a lot too. I mean, they're always going to be my role models and people that I look up to. And for them to be there to support me is amazing.
I could even I could sense the gratitude in the way you're talking right now, and just reflecting on all of it. Going back to your childhood, were you always a defenseman? Were you always all the way up?
Early on, I started as a forward. And I remember one of my coaches when I was probably 6 or 7 years old just said, I want you to play defense next game. And I kind of looked at him and was like, well, can I score goals? So he said, go home and watch Brian Leach and tell me if, defensemen are allowed to score goals. And, Brian Leach was my, my number one guy watching growing up. And, that's how I turned into, the defenseman that I was.
How quickly did, I was just going to ask, how quickly did it accelerate? Because when you moved over to that New Jersey program, it probably wasn't long before you were getting scouted for the US program.
Yeah, it was, that jump was big because, the hockey around, where I grew up wasn't huge at the time. It's blown up now, but, the New Jersey area was, and Long Island was another, hotbed for it. But New Jersey was kind of where, you start to go into the festivals and all these little tournaments, summer tournaments and stuff. And, I always played a year up. I always played with the 88 birth year. And I feel like that helped me. But it accelerated fast. And I mean, we, won national championships. We had great teams, but, again, you just never really know where you stand until you just tick off every box. And by the time I was 14, 15, that's when I got invited to the
NTDP
camp and, absolutely shit the bed in my tryout, but was still, lucky. Oh man, I caved under pressure without a doubt.
Wow. So you, even at that, I remember going out, but I don't remember feeling that type of pressure. Maybe I was just so dumb, but you were kind of going in this is the best players. I got to make this team, and just folded.
Yeah. And that year, you guys remember the USHR reports that would come out after the festivals, right? I think coming out of that, I was in the top 2 or 3 as a defenseman. So I'm I got to go there and show that I'm one of the guys. And that didn't happen at all. And I think one of my coaches from the Atlantic District, John Riley, kind of had to beg and plead for them to hey, just watch him again. Come, trust me, he's the guy. And luckily it all worked out.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but you're from Westchester, and that whole mid-Fairfield, the old Connecticut Yankees, that's one of the top programs because they have such a big pool of kids to choose from. And there's a lot of money there, which does matter in hockey, unfortunately. So you end up going to the Jersey program. Why weren't you a part of that Connecticut Yankees type thing? Because you went to Brunswick too, which a lot of those kids end up going to.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest reason was because my middle brother Keith made the Devils team as well. So it was one of those things where my parents couldn't drive.
They're not doing both.
No, they weren't doing both. I think my oldest brother was playing, for the Long Island Apple Corps. I don't know if you remember the Apple Corps dynasty back in the day, but so it was like one of those things where it's like 2 are going here, 1 are going there, and obviously the Devils had a great team. But later on, when I was in high school at Brunswick, I started playing for Mid Fairfield, and we had a awesome team there. Mark Arcabello, Pastore, like ton of guys who were on our team. We wound up winning a national championship there. So that was when things started to get going around our area with the youth hockey.
I didn't know that when you go out to that national program, it's an actual tryout. I thought like you're guaranteed a spot.
It's like a 40, they invite 40 of the best at your age. So,
obviously it's not a tryout if he made the team, considering how bad he was. He's saying
exactly.
I think every year there's like 8 to 10 kids that are on the team, but everyone does it, and then there's definitely some roster spots open.
Yeah, a few kids go out there with like their contract signed, no doubt.
Yeah.
I certainly wasn't one of them at the time, but yeah, it's and even through the summer, I think they still evaluate kids at that like Ivan Halinka tournament and add some guys in along the way. But it was probably my first taste of like almost like going to an NHL training camp and being like, I got to make this team.
When you get out there, a lot of times the first year's hard on kids. Like you're living away from home for the first time usually, and the grind of that many games and the workouts, and you're treated like a pro, but at a young age, it's kind of hard. Were you homesick? Were you like, this is a lot, or did you kind of like dive in and love it from the get-go?
No, I was missing home the first couple months, without a doubt. I mean, I left Brunswick. I'm in Greenwich, and I was unbelievable campus. There's my first time going to school with girls. I was at all boys school growing up, and then I'm moving out to Ann Arbor, Michigan. I had an unbelievable family, and that was my saving grace. The Pericos family. They owned a couple of restaurants downtown in Ann Arbor, and kind of were able to get me out and go to some Michigan football games and hockey games and experience the town. But those first few months of like real hard work doing boxing, and playing in the NAHL, which at the time was just like a goons league. We were getting our asses kicked left and right, and you're like, thinking, what the hell is this all for?
And you got to play with Patrick Kane. How was he at 16, 17 years old? Could you tell that he was going to be the player that, the Hall of Fame player that he is now?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, again, because I played a year up and he's in 88, like he was always, every tournament we went to would be like, Patrick Kane has 20 points and the next best guy has 12. Like he found his way to get his goals, his assists. And then when we got to the NCDP, like it was no different. And everyone would always say like, this is the level where he's too small. He's going to get pushed out and he can't perform. He's not going to put up his numbers. And, it was comical because like I would watch him on a day-to-day basis and he worked so hard on the ice. I mean, his size and stuff didn't come until a little bit later, when he actually filled out, but to do what he was doing at that age was absolutely incredible.
Shatty, I'm actually shocked Whit hasn't brought this up. When you played with that New Jersey minor league system, you went to the 2002 Pee Wee Championship in Quebec, correct?
Yes, we did.
How did you fare there? I'm surprised Whit didn't mention it. He does every time there's a guy who played on.
We won. Yeah. So I believe that was the first year where they stopped doing like the crossover where the winners of each division start playing each other. But we won like the NHL AA division. We lost to, I think in an exhibition game to like Honey Baked, who won the AAA. And they were insane. I mean, they had some unbelievable players. There was a team from Slovakia that was nasty too, but they wound up being like finding out a couple of years later that they were all 86s playing.
Yeah, Danny Almonte
was on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
What'd you say?
But I mean, like I hear Whit talk about
the team.
Yeah, honestly, I think it was
like that number 17 from your fucking game the other night, Whit. You had to
I
shut
don't know.
down.
No, I think that kid is the correct age with all the birth certificate stuff you got to give in now. Like Host is playing for Slovakia.
Yeah, exactly.
Leaving the Thrashers.
But it was awesome. I mean, like Whit always talks about, like it's the greatest experience that you can go through as a kid. We lived with billet families. Like it was just was an incredible time.
When did you know BU was the spot for you? That's what I remember first seeing you, and didn't know about the USA program and the players, but always watching BU. I'm like, Jesus, this kid's silky. And you had a great team. You guys won it your sophomore year, but what was the recruiting like with Jack Parker, Quinny, and all that? Like, you must have had your options of really anywhere you wanted to go.
Yeah, I kind of ruled out going west early on to the WCHA. I knew that wasn't really where I wanted to be. And I grew up going to a lot of Hockey East games and championships, experiencing that, and always knew college hockey was where I wanted to go. But Michigan was like my team growing up. I mean, Brendan Morrison and, that whole Marty Turco era was who I loved to watch. So they actually gave me my first offer, and I was like, right away, I'm in. Let's sign the papers. Let's go. And my parents said no. My parents were like, listen, if Michigan's going to offer you, there's going to be more teams. Just be patient. You have to go check these places out, meet the coaches, and they were always great in that regard of making sure that I made informed decisions. And at that point, I kind of narrowed it down to Michigan, BU. I wanted to go to BC, but they offered Nick Petrecki as their lone scholarship that year. So it was BU and Michigan. And part of why I went to BU is because I was living in Ann Arbor and I was so homesick. And I knew that I wanted to get back to the East Coast. I wanted my parents to be able to come watch some games. And, and I loved Jack. I loved Quinny. They were great salesmen, but I came to find out later they were obviously better coaches, and they, as soon as I got there, it was the perfect match.
What was
Did
the
you
most
ever get
angry?
a cage yelling?
That's what I was going to ask him. You ever get
yeah.
the cage treatment from Parksy?
Of course. I mean, he was the most intimidating guy ever. And, I remember some of the old guys being like, well, you didn't have him when he was drinking and smoking, cigarettes on the bench. You think his highs and lows were bad now. He would be like this and like there. But, he always knew just how to get you, how to get you going. And, he always knew how to clip your wings when they needed clipping. You come out of a weekend with, maybe 4 or 5 points in 2 games, sit you down and ask you, how do you think you played this weekend? And you're kidding me? I was great.
Had 2 and 2, had a couple kills at the bar.
He's like, you were fucking awful. You can't defend,
Yes.
and you're sitting in your chair, just, all right, I guess I got to go back to the film on this one.
But as an offensive defenseman, Biz, sorry, quickly.
No, I love it.
If you didn't get points, which he knew, he was smart enough to know that you're I got to get points, which is ridiculous, but that's just how we all were or are. He would say, hey, you played phenomenal this weekend. That's the hockey you got to play. The points will come. He was good. He definitely could sense, though, when anyone thought that they were just buzzing around.
Feeling
He's
good.
like, fuck you.
I need to knock this guy down a few pegs. So Quinny does the recruiting part of it. Is Jack Parker there when you're doing these meetings so he can bring you over? And obviously you mentioned how intimidating he is. Is he putting on this kind of nice front when he's recruiting you, and then all of a sudden you have this first experience when you get to your first day of practice?
He was so personable, dude. Yeah.
I mean, Quinny was at the time, and Mike Davis were, they were the guys on the road and going to the games and checking out, all the players. And then when they narrowed it down, they would bring guys, on their visits to BU, and you'd go into Jack's office and sit down with him and your parents. He always knew what to say to your parents, and he really was essentially your father away from home. I mean, he took that responsibility, pretty seriously, that he was in charge of your kids. But without a doubt, the mood changes once you show up on day one and, for practice, he's not
I got you here
guy anymore. Yeah.
Where's that guy from your office? The hell?
Hey, Shatty, I need to hear your breakdown of one of the greatest college hockey games of all time. And Biz, I guess Miami of Ohio fans would completely disagree.
My buddy Vinny Laverde was on the opposite side of this.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
you told me
I
that.
played with Vinny. I won a Calder Cup with him, and he still talks about it. He's still devastated from this game.
If you
I
had the
over-
live odds like they have now, like it was 99.999%. They were the national champs. So just take us through that and what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I always think back on that game, and like we just didn't show up, to play. Like I don't know what it was. We had a pretty amazing win against Vermont the game before that in the semis that kind of gets overlooked. But we went into the game and Miami absolutely dominated us. Like they, from start to finish, they were just playing harder. Blocking the shots they needed to block, putting pucks in deep, like just the way you win. And we had a lot of resiliency that year. We obviously were such a good team that we never felt like we were ever out of any games. And, when we scored that second goal and we looked up and we kind of had like whatever it was, a minute or so left in the game, we kind of like, we knew that something was going to give. We had the belief in the players that we were going to put out there. And you could tell, I mean, the last couple minutes there, like Miami just started to sit back. They didn't attack anymore. I think at one point it looked like they had like a 3-on-1 and the guy just dumps the puck and like just save us, sit on this lead and just
end
this and going. So, I mean, and then we tied it up with unbelievable play by Matty Gilroy to Bonino. The place went nuts. I actually think my dad left the rink when it was 3-1 with a couple minutes left because he was so upset.
Wow.
And missed the 2 tying goals. And then he was like, well, now what do I do? Do I come back into the game? So I think he just kind of sat that one out and went into overtime. And again, once we got into overtime, like we knew that we had the game at that point. But it was still just an incredible game to be a part of.
Well, how
Gilroy's
did finish?
family
How did
leave?
finish? Don't leave me blue balled here. Like who scored the goal? How did it go down?
So I mean, it was
like
low to
locker
high.
room. What was it like in the locker room? You guys like, we fucking got these fuckers.
Oh yeah, like we go in the locker room. We had heard that kind of some of the backups on their team had their like championship tees on and hats, like ready to get on the ice. And which is like, there's 2 minutes left. It's no fault of their own. What are you going to do? Just like wait? But
I think it was 3-1 with like a minute 30 left.
Minute 17. Yeah, I think it's like.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we went into the locker room, cooled down, and obviously like gathered ourselves. But again, there was just like that quiet confidence that we had them. We had our game in order. We had everything going. We went overtime and a few minutes in, I got a pass low to high, walked the blue line, looked for my shot. My buddy Colby Cohen came behind me. I did a behind the back drop pass in the blue line, which was almost picked off for a breakaway. But,
oh God.
And then Colby kind of took the puck, opened up, took a slapper, and their captain, I always forget his name, but he went down on, just full stack the pads. It hit his pants and just loops over. Goalie doesn't see it and goes in the back of the net. So it's like, again, that's how those games are won. College games, especially those momentum swings, and it's always the one that maybe you don't expect to go in, but it was an incredible finish.
Wow.
What's cool to see is nowadays, like kids are staying 1 year, maybe 2, but you won it all. You had 30 points, which is a lot for a college defenseman. You're a high pick, and boom, you decide to go back. Actually, like that's a pretty mature decision. It's way different now, I feel like. But looking back, you must have been like that was the right call. And like, how did you come about not turning pro then?
And also got to be captain there, which I'm sure was like an unreal honor.
True.
Yeah. And I mean, that was a huge part of my decision. We had, obviously some great players in front of me. Matt Gilroy, like I mentioned, Brian Strait, Eric Reiber were, the 2 or 3 people ahead of me in age. And, when Matty left to go pro, that they gave me the captaincy and Brian Strait. And Straighty, unbelievable guy, great leader. He was weighing out his decision of what he was going to do. And then he decided to leave. So I was like, kind of like, dude, you left me hanging here. Not that I was leaving, but I was like, I kind of need you to, help me run this team. But, we go into the junior year and I just felt like I needed to see, if I was ready to go, and I didn't want to make that jump too early and feel like I missed out on, an amazing experience at college. Just to kind of go slumming around on a bus and feel like I was, talking to my buddies the whole time, wishing I was at T's pub. So,
yeah,
it was definitely the best decision for me, and we didn't do great, the next year, but it allowed me to realize like that I was ready to move on to the next level, that I wasn't really getting much out of college hockey anymore, rather than leaving and not knowing.
Did Colorado tell you at the time it was up to you? Because now I feel like a lot of these teams are like, hey, we'd rather have you developing in the AHL. We want control. Or was it like, hey, when you're ready, let us know type thing?
No, they were pretty, open with us. And they, they kind of said that they thought I should, maybe think about leaving, but it really was up to me. And,
Nice.
And I give them, a lot of credit for that. And they also laid it out. Like they were like, you're probably not going to play, in Colorado. We're going to want you in the minors. And that way I was able to make my decision. And I think, they didn't promise me anything. And I know that's changed a lot these days, where kids are coming out and they're like, you're going to get 10 games or 40 games, or they're asking for games. Like that's ridiculous to me.
You're one of the only ones that never played an AHL game, right? Like,
No, he's got a few, 13 of them.
I got a couple.
Did you?
I got a couple.
Yeah, a couple soggy subs.
I played 3 out of college. Like I did like the PTO, whatever.
Those
signing.
ones don't really count though, because
No.
it's like,
yeah, that's
True.
like a showcase.
Give me my signing bonus, bitch.
Going
Thanks to
into
the forced
Colorado,
viewership.
especially back then, that must have been pretty intimidating. There were some legends on that team.
Yeah. I mean, my rookie year, Adam Foote was there, Scott Hannon, Joe
God.
Sakic had just retired, but Milan Hajduk was leading the charge up front. Like it was amazing group to be a part of.
what was Adam Foote like? Like, did he take you under his wing, giving you tips at practice? Like, was he just that old school too, where on the road you're just like, oh my God, he's like my dad almost.
He let him use his nose.
Oh my God. Like his nose was beat. Like it was impossible to talk to him and not look at that thing. It was going every which way. But, I mean, it was almost like, cause then obviously now he's coaching, like he was getting ready for that job, at the time. He had Matt Duchene living with him and it taken him in to his house. But like footy every morning, it was sitting, getting ready for practice, and he would just be holding court, chirping guys around the locker room. I blocked a shot one night and I was limping, and I wound up getting the day off from practice.
Oh no.
And I wanted to crawl into a closet and just hide from both of those guys, from Scott Hannon, who was my D partner, and footy. And they're like coming in, are you fucking kidding me? You're sitting, like all this stuff. And the trainer is like, no, it's my call. It's my call. He's like, I don't care. Get your ass out there. I was walking out of the training room to go out, and he's like, nope, you're not going. But it was just like most rookies do or should do, like just shut up and listen and speak when spoken to type of thing. I know that's changed also a little bit, but I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed listening to these guys go back and forth and soaked up, a ton of knowledge from them. John Michael Lyles was another guy who really took me under his wing, being an offensive guy. But, I had one game where we were playing Dallas. We went to a shootout, and Brad Richards, went down, made a move, missed, and he skated by the bench. And I was like, nice fucking shot, Brad.
Oh, no.
Like
Oh, geez.
John
Young
like,
guy.
grabs me, and he's like, don't you ever talk to Brad Richards like that, or anyone. He's like, how many goals do you have in this league? Like, he gave me that whole rundown, and I got it right away. It's just me being stupid and naive, but I was so grateful to have guys like that around me to just keep me in check and, just make sure that I was doing things the right way.
Crazy news that year where St. Louis decides they're ready to move on from Eric Johnson, and you're in Colorado, first year pro, probably loving being in the NHL, and boom, you're traded. Like, usually you get a little bit of time before your first trade. That was a pretty shocking deal. He had been the number 1 overall pick, but they move, I think it was you, Chris Stewart, and a first-round pick, and all of a sudden you're getting told you're traded. Like, must have been complete shock for yourself. Like, how did you find out?
Yeah, it's a crazy story. So we were going out to San Jose, and we're playing one game just in and out. And like, this is the time where you weren't allowed to wear, different clothes for dinner, just wear your suit. So I just brought out like whatever I was sleeping in. I had my suit. We were going to be in and out. And I had dinner at my my cousin Rachel's house that night. Told them, I'll see you guys tomorrow at the game. Get back. And I was rooming with a guy named David Kochi, fighter. I don't know if you guys remember.
I played with him.
I played with him in the minors.
Coach
salmon
Rudy. Yeah,
like
salmon breath, like
pounds of salmon every day.
Literally.
Like, holy fuck. Like, I don't know if there's enough omega-3s to worry about all those concussions you've got, but good luck with the salmon.
Honestly, he was trying to do his best to work on his CTE, I think. But he legitimately would be like, grab the controller out of my hand at 9:00 at night, turn off the TV.
He was a bully.
Out.
I loved him, but he was a bully.
And he'd walk around with just his like short briefs on, just like flexing his muscles. He was great to me, but like just an odd guy to have as a first roommate.
He was a character.
And we're in the room. It's like 12:00 at night. The room phone rings, and it's Greg Sherman. Coachy picks up. Who the hell is this? Who's calling? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, put Shaddy on the phone. Shaddy, one of your fucking friends is calling our room. And I'm like, one of my buddies is calling the room phone? Like, it's 2011, dude. I have a cell phone. No one's calling my room phone. So Sherman called, he's like, hey, come down to my room. I put my suit back on because I don't have it, really anything in a room.
You have
I go
any
down
idea what this is about?
No
you
idea.
A shirt and tie on, your cock's hanging out.
In his robe.
Yeah. Half bammed out. You're like, what the fuck?
I go down and Greg tells me that I've been traded and I'm leaving at 5:00 in the morning. And I wake up, get my bags. At this point, I'm like, just lights on. Screw you, Coachy. I'm never going to see you again. Go downstairs. The car's waiting for me. I get in. Chris Stewart's there. He's like, yo, shit.
No.
I'm like, what the hell you do? He didn't tell me that I was traded with Stewie. So I had no idea until I got in the car. And we flew to St. Louis. We played that night. We played against Anaheim in St. Louis. I flew back the next day to Colorado, packed my car to get it shipped. And then the following day after that, we played Colorado in St. Louis. So
here we go.
Yeah. So 5-on-3. I had I think an apple or two that game, but just that's the craziness of the NHL sometimes.
Stu Chains must have been a good guy to get traded with, though, because he's such like a big personality, fun guy to be around.
He's the best. I mean, he's a day one for me in the league. Took care of me at development camps. He was obviously like a little more accelerated in getting to the NHL and being a year older than me. But, anytime we just clicked, anytime we hung out, and, just an outrageous human being at times. Like he said, he walks into a locker room and he's just crazy, absolutely crazy. So I was lucky to be a part of that with him.
I heard an unreal story about him. It was like, the PK meeting was at 5:30. So the coach came in, he was like, killers 5:30. And he stood up, he goes, you talking about the real killers or the penalty killers? I heard his one-liners were insane good.
Oh, unbelievable. Like, he would just again, come into a room, like he'd score a goal or something. He'd be coming down the line. He'd be like, let's go, baby, let's go. Like and he always was ready. Like he was always ready to go out, ready to chuck him if he needed to chuck him. Like he always knew like what the moment needed. And I was grateful to be like one of his best buddies, and he took care of me. So I was lucky to have him.
So that first year, like I remember that group of guys, like you had Yipper, you had Ryan O'Reilly. Like I remember I think we actually saw them when they were on their either Olympic break or All-Star break. Had you been traded before that or after that? Because I've heard iconic stories of their time on these trips together and just this young group of guys you guys had there.
Well, we called ourselves the Fab Five. So it was me, Stewie, Yipper, Phil Dupuis, and Ryan O'Reilly.
Oh my God.
Dupes is a beauty. I played with him in junior.
Dupes is awesome, dude. I mean, this is probably why I got traded, because like I think after 2 years, none of those 5 guys were on the Avalanche except for O'Reilly. Go figure. You know, but even as like an 18, 19-year-old, O'Reilly was leading the charge at times. You know, but it was an awesome group. I got traded after that All-Star break. And, you know, actually, no, I was at the All-Star game that year. I think Jens, you were there. I was there in like the rookie thing or whatever. And that's almost why I was taken even more aback when I got traded. You know, I came in after the All-Star break, like, swinging
Jack
my arms
Parker's
around.
like, no, come back to haunt your dreams.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we had a crew. I mean, we were out probably more than we needed to, like, thinking that we were keeping it hidden. Meanwhile, at like 8:00, we're all walking out of the steam room every morning. And they're like, management's like, we got to get rid of these guys.
When you get to St. Louis, it was was it Davis Payne?
Davis Payne had taken over that year, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, next year, Hitch comes in. And
Yep.
Biz and I still laugh about Hitch in training camp, just being a part of that team, like how he would talk to the team, how guys would talk back to him. But he made an immediate difference. And all of a sudden, like, that Blues team got better and better. And what was your relationship like with him? Like, would he give you shit? Were you one of the guys like that would give it back to him a little bit, or no way?
Always. You know, and I appreciate the side of Hitch that, you know, he always could take it. He never carried it into the next day. You know, I said things to him that I would never say to like anyone, let alone a coach. But he had a way of pushing your buttons. And he told me that he sat us down when he first took the job and kind of had individual meetings along the way, and just, you know, sat me down. He said, look, I know you're a young player, but I'm going to treat you like you're 27, 28 years old. I'm not going to let off on you. I'm going to push your buttons. Even when you think, you know, that you're doing something right, I'm going to like needle you even more because I want to get the most out of you. And took a while to learn that lesson, you know, but he was a great coach. He was smart. His X's and O's and his game plans were always on the money. And you know, we bought into that, and we were, you know, a hardworking team. We obviously had some talent, but, you know, we knew where our strengths, you know, really were. And that was from grinding teams down and playing a physical game. And, you know, if you made a mistake and came back to the bench, like, you didn't have a second to think about it. Hitch would just be right on you. And that's when I would just...
He'd be opening the B door. Oh, okay, have a seat.
Like, I think one game
any times?
Yeah, like one game I remember, it was the second period. We were at home, and we're on the power play. So I'm out there for a face-off on the right-hand side. I think Backus wins it back to me. I get the puck. I'm getting ready to like walk the middle, and Hitch is already like screaming from the bench, like, skate, skate. I look back, like, as I'm walking the blue line, I'm like, will you shut the fuck up? And like right back into the play. I get back to the bench. I'm like, I can't even hear myself think out here. Like, let me play the game. And he's like, all right, settle down. But I mean, you guys know, you were there for that training camp. Like, he likes things done obviously a certain way, and you know, he's very meticulous with everything. But we had some great coaches around him too that knew how to you know, calm us down. Brad Shaw was a big coach for me. Kirky Muller was awesome. So you know, they were like therapists at times more than they were coaches.
I was always intrigued his ability to break down the game tape and simplify it in his explanation, especially for a guy like who never played. Right? Like, his details, like you just mentioned, to the game were just fascinating. And I don't remember the video sessions being overly long either. So he was very concise and knew exactly what he wanted.
Yeah. I mean, that was the beauty of it. He'd say, like, here are the 3 things we need to beat this team. And, you know, whether it was like possessing the puck down low, or, you know, they play this sort of defense, this is where our shots are going to be. Like, it was easy because he showed us that early on, and we bought in, and we went on a crazy, you know, tear, and that just kept staying consistent, you know, for the time he was there. But no, I mean, I still remember, like, I think we actually played together, Biz, in an inter squad game at camp that year. You were my D partner. Do you remember that?
Right. Yes.
And I
Did you think
remember
you were getting traded?
Shay's like, this ain't good. This ain't good.
I think that was the year that I did get traded too. So I was like, all right, they're bringing in Biz over me. But I remember there was one play, like, I got a puck. I was kind of pass back door, and Biz was kind of back through the seam. Like, I think I shot the puck, and he said, I got back to the bench, and Biz was like, "Hey, did you see me? Did you see me on that play?" And I kind of like looked over, and I didn't like. I was trying to be an asshole, but I was just like, "Huh?" Like, you kind of put me off guard, and you're like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You know, it's cool."
Like, if you call me loser 10 or 11 more times, I'm gonna get out of here.
Next day, I got the car service like you and Stewie. Like,
hey, so
Biz,
your rookie year was
Petro son.
you must have been telling all the other guys, like, this fucking asshole's on the bench during this inter squad game. My D partner buzzing down the back door asking me for tap-ins. Fuck this guy. Get him out of here. No. That's when I noticed there was a tone that changed with you in that camp with me, and that was probably the moment right there.
That was it, 100%.
I also remember, I think like Otter was around then, and was Otter and Hitch's relationship like the funniest? Like, was that the comedy routine? Because I feel like Otter was like,
that's what I remember.
Like, Otter it was crazy.
Well, he had the best understanding of Hitch because of his time in Dallas. So, you know, him, Jamie Langenbrunner, who we had a couple years before that, Brendan Morrow. I mean, they came in, it was almost like they were tired of the act at that point. You know what I mean? They were just kind of letting us all go through it. But, you know, Otter, like, talk about quick wit and like one-liners. I mean, he was ruthless, absolutely ruthless. Like, sitting on the bench and listening to him go. And then, you know, obviously you had Revo and DJ Crombine at times is another guy who could just like pepper players. You know, it was like almost exhausting to listen to over and over again. Like, I'm like, you know, I get it. You guys play 8 minutes, but like, save some energy for the ice. Cause this is like, it's wearing me down. But you know, and I, again, like Otter was around. I think he took a lot of lessons from Hitch, and I'm sure he would say that he appreciates it now, like being a coach and seeing it on the other side.
Was that first year in St. Louis for you? That was Revo's first year up too. Like, were you there when he was falling asleep on the massage table or anything?
I missed that. I think that was his training camp of that year. Like,
okay,
when I got traded, or maybe even the year before. But yeah, like Revo had his moments for sure. You know, and I still remember, like, me and Stewie went and picked him up one day for a game, and Revo came out. He's got like size 14 shoes. He comes out with his suit on. He's got white shoes on. These things, like, it was unbelievable walking. Like, he walked out looking like Don Magic Wand, and Stewie just absolutely laid into him. It's unbelievable. You know, again, another guy like Revo that I kind of got to grow, you know, and into the league with. Great guy to have on my side. Obviously, I obviously picked two of the toughest guys on the team to be my best friends, but lucky to have them both.
A big responsibility in the locker room is being the locker room DJ. Now, I know you didn't get your silver stick. We were talking before we ended up hopping on recording here. You should get the golden aux cord. What drove you to be the team DJ? Like, did you just like, were you on fucking Napster getting all the tunes, or like, what was it about you that got the reins?
Toughest job in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it just came from like one day being in the Blues locker room and kind of just saying, enough. I can't listen to the same old shit that we're listening to. And I always was like, I always loved music. You know, any type of music. Didn't matter if it was like house music or rock and roll, whatever. I tried to keep my pulse on, or my finger on the pulse and everything. But you know, I plugged in one day. I always listened to stuff myself, so I just figured, let me throw it in and see where it goes. And yeah, I mean, it kind of took off from there. I remember, I think it was my second or third year with the Blues. I put up on the board, like, if we sweep the Avs, if they were in our division, I'll get new speakers for the locker room because our speakers sucked. And sure enough, like, we won 2 out of the 3 right away. So next thing you know, I'm having speakers installed in the locker room, which I was so happy about, because now I'm like, this is my concert hall. You know, I could kind of just like let it rip in here. But I always cherished and loved that responsibility. And I used to do the lineup read in St. Louis, which was another, you know, big honor to have to take on night in and night out.
Every game?
every game Hitch would hand the lineup in. And I used to do it with Scotty Nickel, who really like was the one who I think started it. And he was so good at it. Like, but we would trade on and off. And then next thing you know, he was gone and I was left with that responsibility.
How hard was it keeping everybody happy with the tunes, or did you do like what were you like? Were you bouncing around country, techno, like rock? Like were you just all over the place?
Yeah, the rule was like there was no house or no hip hop before like half an hour. You know, once the 30-minute
Then you
mark,
get the BPMs going,
and then it was time to jack it up. And I would usually start, you know, with some hip hop. And then really like jack it up. And then
sprinkle the MDMA and the body armor cups, excuse me.
Exactly.
And then let's fucking go, baby.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
That. I like that.
Before we get over to like, you know, the trade and leaving there, you played in a legendary college game and you played in one of the best Olympic games I can ever remember in 2014. First off, making the Olympics it was in Russia. How exciting was that? And then that Oshie shootout, like, you knew it. You'd seen it. I remember him in practice at training camp, breakaways. He was insane at, but it must have just been incredible, like thinking back and remembering that game against Russia.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nuts. I mean, I think going into the Olympics, like I remember they announced it, I think at the Winter Classic when they had those like kids skating out and they were turning around.
That was cool, actually.
Yeah.
It was cool, except they didn't tell me that I made the team before that. So I was legitimately watching that game, like, with my family at home, and we're on the phone. And I think I was one of the last guys that would like the kids skated out and turned around. So
way. That's how you found out.
That's how I found out. Like I thought I'd get maybe a phone call or something that, you know, I made the team or I didn't beforehand. So that was kind of the start of it. And then, you know, once we got over to Russia, like it was great. I mean, we had an awesome group of guys. You know, we played well in the early round, but that game against Russia was like, you know, it was nuts. I think Putin came to the game, which was even crazier that we were playing in front of him. And then we get into that shootout and you know, you're not used to that when you don't have those rules, right? You're like, even for us, I think for some of us, when we saw Osh go a second time, we were like, is this allowed? You know, like, because it's not fair because he's that good. But I mean, it was amazing. Like and whenever people talk about that game, I'm like, yeah, I had the best ticket in the house, right on the bench with no responsibilities of like thinking that I was going to score or
it's
have
a nice
to go.
feeling, isn't it?
Oh, it's great. It's great.
My whole career.
I mean, I think I was probably right in the middle, right where you would have been.
Yeah. The best job in the world.
I think Oshie made that team. I think the year before that Olympics, I went to Worlds and he went and we played like, our team was horrible. We played like, it was either Italy or Kazakhstan to get like relegated. And it was in a shootout and he scored like 6 in a row. And I believe he had one contact in at the time.
He did that in the Worlds too?
Yeah. This is in, where the hell was it? Germany?
It was in Germany. Because I remember like Ben Bishop was your goalie too. I heard I heard you guys were just getting after it.
Oh my God. It was
Spring Break World Championship.
It was me, Greener, Oshie, and Chorney was our Fab Four.
I love Chords.
As in Greener from LA?
Yeah. He was my roommate.
Slam him back.
He was my roommate. It was bad.
Jens, do you remember when you almost got into a fight at Olympic camp?
No. Yeah, I was just going to ask you about this. We got a text.
Got to be off ice then.
We didn't skate.
Fighting on the ice.
We didn't skate. Exactly. We were at the bar, like World of Beer or something like that. We were all just having beers. And there was some guy there. He was like mouthing off and chirping us, like kind of started off as playful. I think he was a Red Wings fan or something. And next thing you know, like Jens starts peppering him back a little bit. Again, just like very harmless. And the guy went over the line. I think he said like, whatever, made a joke about your mom or something. Next thing you know. Jens, it's like, oh, really, buddy? Like, let's go. We're going outside, blah, blah, blah. It was unbelievable. Like, I'm sitting there with all these amazing guys, you and these other players, and we're just like having casual beers. Next thing I know, Jens is like being held back from this guy at the World of Beers. And I'd always laugh about that now. I'm like, that would have been amazing if we just had 30 guys tune up some random guy at World of Beers in DC.
You might have made the team, Jens.
That's probably why I didn't make the team.
He's trying to fight a Wings fan at the bar. So when you got moved to Washington, you were coming up on UFA, I believe, if I'm not. When did you realize that St. Louis wasn't going to sign you, or that you didn't want to sign there? I know they had Petro, so there's so much going on, but was that hard for you if it was them that were like, hey, we're actually not going to re-sign you this summer and you're probably getting moved at the deadline?
No, we talked, that summer before, and Army was good about it. I mean, he laid it out. Petro was obviously the guy, the number one guy, and going into that season, being the power play guy and feeling like I was starting to really, come into my own and not really know like what my ceiling could be. It was kind of a decision that I had to make, whether I would be staying in St. Louis and sit behind Petro for the rest of my career, which, was definitely nothing to sniff at because he's a phenomenal player. But I wanted to know, like what I had in me and if I could be that guy myself. And we knew, we kind of knew by the time December hit that that's what I wanted to do. And we explored, some trades earlier on. I almost went to Tampa, I think in January. Was going to be like a sign or trade and sign an extension type of thing. But, again, I wanted to go to free agency and see what that was all about. And then obviously at the deadline, I was traded to Washington. I thought I was actually going to Pittsburgh. It sounded, everything I was reading on Twitter, at least, it sounded like everything was done. And I think Washington came in the final hour.
I mean, just reflecting on your time in St. Louis, obviously you're going to be remembered as a Blues guy. Like I look at the list of guys, like you had Stastny there, Steiner, like just so many awesome. How hard was it to say bye to all those guys in that locker room after you end up getting moved on from? And then I was also going to follow up with Steiner. Like, did you see him eventually getting into management? Like I think he's been crushing it with Army so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to your first point, your first question, like when I think of like my guys and my closest teammates, it's that group without a doubt. I was so grateful that I was able to grow up, as a young man into an older man and learn from those guys. And we had such a great group. We would do the Vegas trip at the end of the year every year. And, we would have great team parties, whether it's Christmas parties with the wives and the girlfriends. There was never a moment where like we weren't together doing something, and we saw the value in that. And, Steve Ott, I think, was a big proponent of that when he came over. You kind of noticed that maybe there was a little bit of a divide in the locker room. Maybe it wasn't exactly where it needed to be. And he just like forced us to get together, forced everyone to come out. Didn't matter if you drank a beer or if you didn't. Everyone should go out and be together and talk about a game, hot stove it like that. That goes a long way when you're looking to fight with your team and at the end of the year. So I learned a lot of lessons. I brought that with me when I went, and Steiner was again like he could have been our captain just as much as David Backes was our captain. Like everyone looked at him that way, and I didn't see him going into management. Like I always knew that he loved the game, but he sold out and now he's going into upper management. But, at least this hopefully might mean that maybe there's a job for me somewhere down the line.
You think he's still riding that Monarch bike with those quads of his?
100%.
What a
100%.
machine.
I have like one of his workouts. One summer I asked him, when I was like, all right, I got to take the next step here. I'm like, Steiner, can you send me your bike workouts? Because I want to come into camp this year and rip it up. And sent them to me. I did one workout and I was like, absolutely not. I'm like, I'm fine where I'm at. I'm just going to be like the fat, out of shape, offensive defenseman.
He was
for the
doing
rest
them
of my
before
career.
practice and training camp. I'm like, bud, you've been on the fucking bike for 30 minutes and it's fully cranked on the RPMs here, man. Save the pistons. And
See
he
that
was just
big like metal thing, whatever, the big weight going down.
Yeah, I thought he was doing
Wingate bike.
I thought he was doing the Wingate. Yeah. Unreal.
I was kind of going to ask about the Rangers, and I know like it was a childhood dream to play for them, and it didn't end the way you hoped, but kind of like what happened there? Like what was your thought process going in, and what was your kind of experience looking back on getting to be a Ranger, even though, it didn't go as you'd hoped.
I don't have many bad things to say about it just because it was worth, the experience of playing in New York. Jans knows, and Jans, I feel like I just missed that window of, those teams that were so good in New York and right on the doorstep of winning. And that was a big reason why I went there, was because, if you could win in New York, it's forget it. But the team, we were a great team when we started that season, my first season there. I think we were a couple points out of playoffs, but we kind of started to slide a little bit. Maybe we weren't, maybe similar to how it's going for them right now. And management didn't really see the end of the road looking very clear. And I think it was time to maybe make a move. And that's when, the letter was dropped by Dolan. And, that was crazy. It was to be a part of that, and like,
you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. I'm like, what's going on? I think I was injured at the time. I tore my meniscus, and I tore it in training camp and was playing with it through the year, just trying to grind through. And eventually it came to a head where I had to get surgery. But, I was focused on the next year, like coming back and being the solution. And, they had given me this deal. I wanted to be obviously a leader for the team. But, we came into that next year of part of a rebuild, and I didn't realize at the time, how hard that is to start that and get things going in the right direction.
Did I hear right? You said a letter from Dolan. Like, did I miss something? What happened?
Yeah, they were like, he just like quit. He's like, time to rebuild, basically.
Yeah, pretty much was like, we have decided that we are going to like strip this whole thing down and rebuild this team. We're going to trade our older guys away. The first one to go, I think, was McDonough and JT Miller. Then Rick Nash went. It was, top to bottom, like no one was safe other than probably Lundqvist. It was crazy. I never seen anything like that before. And
we're about to see it again.
What's that?
We're about to see it again.
Yeah.
We're in the process of...
That's again, like, I don't know, like Trubes, what Truba said about like being fired at MSG, it's a rite of passage. Like it's not wrong. It's part of what you sign up for when you play there. I don't think anyone should be surprised by that. You're playing in New York. People expect results right away.
I just wanted to ask about this whole situation going on. So you're in agreement with Truba, and if you were a player on that Rangers team right now, would you be upset maybe at the way that management and they've handled it? Because I guess you kind of saw it firsthand. I know that there's an expectation playing in New York, but is there also a way to treat the guys in the process?
I think so. I think there's always open dialogue, with the GMs and the coaches that I played with or played for. There's always been an open dialogue as to like, this is where you stand, this is where our team stands, and whether you're safe or not, you kind of know. And I think when you bring that out to the public, it makes it real. And you're not going to know how guys are going to respond to that, right? It's hard when your name is getting put out there in a press letter or a memo that you're available for trade. To be able to go out there and show up and not feel embarrassed in front of your teammates, walking into a locker room or stepping on the ice and maybe the other team is, needling you and chirping you about, hey, I heard you're on the block. Those are all real things, right? So it's hard to deal with that without a doubt.
The JT Miller trade was crazy looking back. He'd had back-to-back like mid 20-ish goal seasons. He's 24. I guess they didn't know how good he was going to become. Did you? Could you sense like, holy shit, this guy could be a 100-point player?
I did. I couldn't see him being a 100-point player, but I knew he was a player for sure, like a top 2-line guy without a doubt. His shot was incredible, but like at the time, he was like one of those guys who didn't want to shoot the puck. We'd be on the power play together, and he'd set him up, and he was just like, I don't know if he was just too young and playing with, obviously some legendary guys that he felt like it wasn't his place. But I think when he went down to Tampa, he kind of, again, came into his own a little bit there. And then when he got traded from them to Vancouver, like, it seemed like he really took over and decided that he was going to be a leader and a force on that team. And I think that's what we've seen, today.
When did you find out you were being bought out? I mean, kick in the dick. Did you get a phone call, same thing at midnight, like when you got traded from Colorado, or like how did that? Had your agent heard rumblings this might happen?
Well, I mean, like just like anything in New York, you find everything out from like Larry Brooks
Brooksy?
first. So I mean, if you picked up the post for any of the 2 weeks leading into that that day, it was being thrown out there by him. I mean, they traded and signed Trouba. They went and got Panarin, and then that second buyout window was coming. And, I was kind of the one guy that was out on the line there that would have offered them the cap relief they needed. And I think we got all the way to that final day. And, it was like maybe in the last few minutes of the buyout window when I was driving home from a workout and got the call. And, it was like, holy shit. We had just had my first son a few weeks back, and you're kind of like, you're out of a job. You don't know where to go from there. I mean, that whole process is very strange. But, I think the following day I had like 2 or 3 phone calls from teams, and, that sort of picks your spirits back up a little bit. It makes you realize that, there are some teams that still, value you. I'm in Tampa, was one of those teams, which was great.
You end up making more money than you would have based on because you got 2/3 of your salary. Then did you sign for more than what that 1/3 would have been? And what's it feel like double dipping like
I did.
that?
So I did.
Oh,
I beat the Anaheim contract was what made up for it. But it was great. It was awesome. I mean, like Ryan Getzlaf always used to say in Anaheim, but every day or every game we would play the Rangers, he'd be like, Daddy, like you're so bad that this team's paying you not to be on their lineup right now. But I was, I'd always say like, yeah, but the checks keep coming, and I got them for another like 4 years.
So you would get 2 separate wires twice a month?
2. Every payday I get 2 checks.
Oh, because anyone ever gotten 3 different teams paying?
Yeah, I think Suter's getting it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Triple dipping.
Yeah. I mean, I just wish I could have pushed it, into my retirement years.
I know.
Yeah. Like O'Shaughnessy.
The Bobby Bonilla day every July 1st.
He lived on my street.
Really?
In New Rochelle, Bobby Bonilla lived down the street for me. And I'm like, no wonder this guy's always getting his cars, shine in his driveway. He's got like $1.4 million coming every year
I
for
think
20
for another
years.
like 25 years too.
No.
No, it's coming to an end.
Is it?
It's finally
Maybe it
coming to
was for 25 years or something.
It was like
it's
20 years.
crazy.
Yeah.
But the whole like getting bought out, obviously it sucks. It happened to me. It's definitely a kick to your ego. But for you, the next year you go to Tampa and you win a cup. Like how, like looking back now, you must just be like, they could have bought me out 10 different times, and it's still to get that cup. Like that's kind of all you're looking to do once you make it and establish yourself in the NHL.
Shatty, quickly, sorry, because I also want to hear who else you maybe signed with, because you had some teams call. And finally, Bobby Bonilla is getting paid till 2035 every July 1st.
Oh,
he still
okay,
has 11
wow.
more years, so 10 more years.
Fucked.
So what other teams were in the mix maybe, and like how'd you pick Tampa?
Yeah. So I think when it came down to it, at that point, it was second week of August. So you're kind of screwed. A lot of teams have already signed guys in that, on July 1st, and there's not much space. So the final 2 teams were Tampa and Anaheim offered me a 2-year deal, but I knew at that moment, at that point that I needed to go to the best team possible. It wasn't about the money. And I needed to, make sure that I put together a season where I got myself back, in the game type of, so to speak. So, when I went to Tampa, like instantly the way I felt going into those practices and through that training camp, I was like, this is where I want to be. I mean, the pace was so high. they had just come off of that losing to Columbus, getting swept by Columbus, and it was intense. I mean, I remember first day we had just like a scrimmage that really there was no like nothing to it. It was just like, hey, go play type of thing. That's how it felt, at least. And the next day we came in and we had video, and Coop laid into me. He's like, I think I swept across on a guy, and like someone else got a breakaway and they scored. He's like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Like, are you here to play for this team, or are you here to play shinny hockey? And I knew like that this is why Coop was such an amazing coach. He knew who he could lean on, who he could give it to in front of guys that were going to take it and not be hurt by it. And he was setting the tone, and he did it, multiple times over the course of the season. But he knew like when it was time, like if he saw something slipping, how to really, make sure that guys knew that we needed to get our shit together. And like that moment right there was like, all right, like, this is where I'm playing. I'm playing on a winning team again, and nothing's going to be, let go by the wayside. Like we're going to have to be detailed and ready to play every day, which I loved.
You guys must have been fuming as COVID hit and fucked everything up that year, because the anger that those guys were coming back with, it must have been evident to you. Like, that was embarrassing. They break this record. They're the best team of all time regular season and swept. Could you sense even in camp that guys were like, let's get this thing going? Like, we need another crack at all of this?
Yeah, no, I think that's just how it was. Like, I mean, I think everyone was ready to get out of the first couple months of every media outlet and every city you go to asking about the year before. And, for
like,
me, I didn't have to. Yeah. I was like, I didn't even make playoffs last year in New York. We were about 100 points out. So, I think that was a big, big weight off of everyone's shoulders. And we kind of got to December. We went on the Global Series trip to Sweden and had an unbelievable time over there and swept the Sabres. And that kind of kickstarted our year. I think we won like 13 games in a row or 11 or something like that. But, that's again, like guys understood that we maybe weren't playing our best and we were maybe distracted and thinking about the year before. And at that point, our leaders just started to take over and say like, we got to start doing something here. Otherwise, we're going to end up in the same position as we were last year. And, there's a lot of experience on that team. There's guys who went to cup finals and I think everyone just believed in each other. And once COVID hit, we were like, holy shit, like we're in the middle of, our run here. And now we're like getting stopped completely.
Everybody loves the mystery of Kucherov, right? Like, 'cause he's such a nasty player. I don't think a lot of people know a lot about him other than, of course, that celebration when he really came out of his shell. But like, what was it like being around this guy who's just an absolute fucking assassin out there? Probably top 3, top 5 player in the world year in, year out. What's he like behind the scenes?
He's quiet. I mean, he's a soft-spoken guy. I mean, unless you get him on the podium after a Stanley Cup with a bunch of beers, he's exactly like as he's advertised. He doesn't. I don't think he loves being in the spotlight. I think he just loves playing hockey and just trying to be the best. And again, I'm sure he has that fire in him that he's competing with other guys in the league. But I think he just wants to be his best self. And if he can improve by 1%, he's going to try to find a way to do it. I haven't played with anyone who's poured more time on the ice into their game. And he, at least when I was there a few years ago, like it seemed like he was starting to make the turn in the gym too and start to work out more and do that stuff and understand the importance of it. But, he would spend hours on the ice just working on like picking up hard rims from the other side on his backhand and getting his head up right away so that, if you're a defenseman, you're coming in, you think you have a guy lined up with his back to you. Like as soon as you see his eyes come up and face you, you're screwed. And he had those pucks like one touch on his forehand.
It's crazy.
It's nuts. It's absolutely crazy. But it's, when you see it in games, it's obviously amazing, but like you watch him practice it every day and you think to yourself, well, like there's the perfect example of, you keep taking your reps at something, eventually you're going to know how to do it like it's secondhand nature.
Cam Atkinson told me when he got there this summer for the skates before the season starts, Kucherov was on the ice by himself, and he'd just come in over the blue line, do a turn, make a backhand sauce pass for like an hour and a half to nobody. He was the only person on the ice, not even passing to somebody else. So he's doing all this by himself.
Yeah, a lot of it,
Wow.
and even when we would have, the end of practice when everyone would be like shooting around and doing all their stuff, like it was almost like, the one end at the top of the circle where he's posted up on the power play, that was his spot. Like give him 20 feet. He's going to go through his drills and do stuff. And maybe he asked Pointer to come down. He's going to work on his little pass into the slot and work on his bumper play with them. But he doesn't need guys on the ice, like to practice his stuff. He can just stay out there and it might even look like slow to someone because he's working on something like so specific. But again, like those little backhand sauces, they're always like just a little bit over the blade, so you can't knock them down. Like it's so frustrating, but absolutely incredible to watch on a daily basis.
That's awesome. Any other Coop stories? I mean, you told the one in training camp where he called you out right away, and you kind of appreciated that about him. Like, is there anything else, like a story that resonates with you and your connection with Coop? Because I think everybody's just fascinated by the fact that he's lasted as long as he has, and how much of a player coach yet he still is, and his message stays fresh year in, year out.
Yeah, I think there wasn't anything else like specific. He always delegated, different things to different coaches, which I saw. It was kind of like the first time I saw that, and he didn't he didn't want to like take all the power to himself. He wanted to let his other coaches work. Jeff Halpern was working on the power play, and Todd Richards would have like the D zone coverage, and it was just refreshing to see that and see him like he knew what he was. Like he's a great motivator. He's a great manager of players, and he would come in on a daily basis and always have that energy. And again, like maybe if a guy was fighting it in a game or was in a little bit of a slump, like how to approach him, or maybe when to like get on him and make sure that he needed to like pick his shit up. He always would be like coming up to us at morning skates and asking us, "Oh, like where'd the boys go last night in Nashville or something?" He always wanted to have his finger on the pulse and in that regard. But Patty Maroon played for him growing up, and he told us all early on, he's like, "Don't tell Coop where you went the night before the game, because God forbid you make one mistake." Like he's bringing that out.
The crazy 100%. Part about it is Maroon played for him when he was 13. That's probably when he started going to the bar.
Yeah, 100%. I'm like, Patty, not all of us are like you. We weren't like, this isn't our dad. We weren't drinking when we were 16 under this guy.
Could you have re-signed back there when you signed with Anaheim? Like, was that something where you're looking for some term and going out west, or was what happened in that negotiation after you guys did
No,
win?
I mean, it was kind of like we knew the agreement type of thing. We tried to make something work, but it couldn't with the way that their cap situation was. And it was unfortunate. I mean, I would have loved to stay there and obviously be a part of the next year and even the run in the finals the year after. But, just one of those things where we kind of shook and said our goodbyes and understood that we both would have wanted something to last longer, but it wasn't going to happen. So, at that point, Anaheim circled back and the money went up, which was nice, when you prove it and you win a Stanley Cup, it was perfectly timed. But, deciding to go out west and go to Anaheim, and I kind of knew obviously the situation there at the time too. I was leaving a Stanley Cup contender and going to a rebuild, but being in New York, I kind of knew what I was prepared for, which was nice.
I know you got to run. My last question is, even though you're so freshly retired, have you thought about like kind of what's next? It's so normal to take a little time off, but even when playing, had you thought about coaching, management, scouting? Like, has there ever been any thought with you or
It
discussion
better
with your
not
wife?
be with the Boston Stranglers, you piece of shit. I'll fucking come after you.
We need some guys. We need some guys
No,
on our
you
ball
don't.
hockey team.
Yeah, we do.
Shaddy,
We
stay
need some
away.
skill.
Whoever slides the envelope under the door with the most cash wins.
It ain't
boys.
gonna be Biz. He'll send you a
This
T-shirt.
guy's gonna be triple dipping.
No, I mean, I think I don't have any desire, at least right now, to coach or be a GM at this level. It's a ton of work, and you understand how much they get pulled away from their families and the like. So, I'm happy with being around here and maybe trying to do something in broadcasting and media or whatever that might be. If not, maybe working with the PA, because I did a lot of work with them over my career and always enjoyed being with them. So I think as far as hockey goes, that's where my sights are set. And, maybe coaching my little guy here for the next couple of years and probably turning into a monster hockey parent like most people are these days.
It's impossible not to. I'm learning the hard way right now. Every dad who says they're not a crazy hockey dad's all lying, Shaddy.
Were you banging on the glass this weekend at Riders
Yeah, I
Tournament,
make sure it's with my ring finger too, so it's really loud. Skate, bend your knees. That's my thing. Bend your knees.
He's got a hit out
I
on
remember
Axl
my
Rose.
dad saying, "Ben." Well, Shaddy, unbelievable career, buddy. I'm so happy for you, Stanley Cup champ. You did it all with class, and every teammate that you had's gonna miss you. So thanks for coming on and joining us.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate being here with all you guys. This is amazing.
Thank you very much to Deuces.
Best.
What a guy. What an amazing person. Hell of a career. You guys will be back on Amazon.
Yeah, we're gonna miss you.
I know, boys. I know. Fuck. Wish I could make it. Really wish I could, but I won't be there this time. But you two with Andy Petrillo. Will there be a third for you guys?
I don't think so. Normally
Okay.
there isn't a third.
Oh.
We just asked that. Like
You guys just let them bring me one time?
Well, a special
We needed
occasion.
someone to make fun of.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I got tortured at that thing.
Oh, it was unreal.
Jesus Christ. No wonder I'm not going back. I called BetterHelp the minute I left that studio.
We got a Whitney Bumchin pinata for this one.
Yeah.
We're gonna between games we're gonna hit it. We're gonna get it.
Who's the games? Is it Thursday? Let's see who we got that night. Let's see who we got Thursday for you guys. All right, right now. I'm hoping for some games with playoff implications. Thursday, there's always a lot of games.
A ton of games, yeah.
Thursday, we got 9 games. Bruins, Canadians. Canadians need to get that win. It's in Montreal. Lightning, Senators. Avalanche, Blue Jackets. Blue Jackets need as many wins as they could get. Preds, Stars. Penguins, Blues. Blues keep it going. Kings, Utah. Oilers, Sharks.
Keep naming teams.
He's going to run over Macklin Celebrini's rental car. Jets, Golden Knights. And Ducks, Flames. So you guys will be there representing. And we can't wait to watch. I'll be watching. I'll be texting you guys. And I'll be making fun of you on Twitter.
Thank you.
We got peaking. Obviously, Biz mentioned that. So check that out.
We peaking.
I can't
Wednesday,
wait for
April
that.
2nd. Biz on Shrooms with Donnie Does in Pigeon Force, fucking Tennessee. So check that out.
Free education.
And wish us good luck. Game Notes Friday, noon. They need to address. Merles needs to sit there and apologize to every viewer. I'm sorry, I'm the college hockey expert and I couldn't pick one team. He never picks BU, ever. He couldn't get one Frozen Four team, but Game Notes Friday, noon, right?
You're talking
G?
about the same
Noon,
guy,
baby.
same guy who said that the LA Kings were frauds.
Yeah, Merles. Merles has been cold this year on his picks and
Every
stuff.
year.
Merles, what are you doing? What are you doing, Merles? Not one Frozen Four team?
The OG 29.
Yeah,
Av.
that's
Wow.
exactly what it is. McKinnon stole his number.
And it was all downhill from there.
Biz, thank you for doing Army Alone.
Oh, what do you mean, dude? You were incredible. Flu game performance.
that was
Oh,
unreal.
great. Now we got SARS.
I'm going to sleep. Love you guys. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Bus drivers, don't hit any Range Rovers out there or Teslas unless you want to light it on fire. Bye.
What a